and welcome to the Junkyard Love Podcast.
At what age do we learn how to have better conversations? At what age do we learn to have better conversations with ourselves?
What's up, party people? This is Jacob from the internet. Today's recommendation, as I love to give recommendations at the beginning, sometimes the end of the old podcast here, is going to be Learning to Respond, Not React by Tara Brach. Tarabrach. That's on YouTube and Spotify, and I think just wherever else you get your podcast. I follow her on Spotify. Just a wonderful Vipassana teacher. She tells great stories, relatable for all ages. I think it's certainly something that's great to have on when you have kids around. I don't think there's any cussing, anything like that in there. So great to learn about those emotions. She has tons of those. So Learning to Respond, Not React by Tara Brach. Today, the convos with Scott Pisapia. It's a wonderful, fantastic conversation. Can't wait to get into it. Hope you're having a great day. Drink some water, take care of yourself, breathe from your belly, and stand up straight. Let go. Chickadee check. It's your boy Scott on the mic.
Yo. Scott. I would imagine if you unplugged everything in here and then said, all right, get it all working again, it would never get back.
I don't know. I'll probably figure it out eventually.
No, me.
Oh, you.
Yeah, like if you just unplugged everything, put it in the middle of the room, and then was like...
You want to try it?
Yeah.
3, 2, unplug it.
Butt naked.
I know. It's so funny. A lot of the times I'll act like I don't... Sometimes I'll be like, oh, it's clearly you just do this. I'll just plug it in and I'll explain it to someone. And then I don't even know not only the name of the thing you just said, but where it's located. I don't know the numbers that were located with the thing that you said. So you were just asking me what podcasts I like listening to. I listen to a good amount of Joe Rogan, and kind of wherever that sends me. I like clicking through comments, or if he reads a book or if somebody on there is an author, I'll check out their stuff, or if they have a podcast.
Right.
I like Aubrey Marcus podcasts. I like Tim Bilyeu.
Okay, never heard of him.
Impact Theory is his. He's from Tacoma, actually.
Really?
He is one of the co-founders of Quest Nutrition.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tim Ferriss?
Tim Ferriss. Yes, I like Tim Ferriss too. Yeah. Do you listen to Tim Ferriss?
A little bit, yeah. I mostly go down the comedy train.
Okay. What do you listen to?
So I listen to Bobby Lee. Do you know Bobby Lee?
Yeah.
So Bobby Lee, I listen to The Fighter and the Kid. I listen to Chris D'Elia. Do you like Chris D'Elia?
Yes, I think I know who he is. He kind of has my length. Well, my hair's up now, but yeah.
But if your hair was down.
Yes, if my hair was down. If you could pretend.
Yeah, if I could pretend your hair was down.
If you could picture my hair down. Can you just picture that?
Which it isn't, if anyone's listening.
Since you don't know. But you never know what's going to happen here. We were talking about sharing a beer and holding hands already. I might let my hair down.
Hair down.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have Scott Pisapia.
Yes, we do.
I'm happy to have you, man. I'll just tell what I was saying earlier. I always like asking Shaylee, because Shaylee knows you a little bit more than I do. We've had each other on Facebook and stuff, but last night I was like, what comes to mind when you think of Scott? And she was just telling me good people. That you're just good people. We were talking about your family earlier, saying the same thing. You just seem like a good dude, and I totally have to agree. I don't know you a ton, but I'm pretty hyped to get to know you and have a long form conversation. We just shot a few hoops in the old Junkyard Love driveway court.
There we go.
And I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think it was 21-0 that I beat you.
Yeah, I think it was multiple games.
Yeah. So you claim to know something about basketball.
I don't.
Yeah.
It's all lies. It's all lies, everybody.
Tell me a little bit about yourself, man.
Well, first off, thank you to Shaylee. That was very nice.
Definitely, yeah.
Good people.
Yeah.
That was very nice. What year did she graduate from Arlong?
She was 2010.
2010, so same year as you. Okay.
And you were 2 years ahead of us.
Yeah, so I'm almost dead.
Yeah.
Natural causes.
You're about to look at the gates of...
Yeah, coming up on 30. Scary. But so... Went to Arlong from Longview, grew up in Longview. And then after Arlong, went to Lewis and Clark College in Portland to play basketball, which is a Division III college. in the Northwest Conference. So there's a bunch of schools in Washington and Oregon that make up that conference: Whitworth, Whitman, PLU, UPS, George Fox, Pacific, Linfield. I'm probably missing some, but played there for 4 years. When I got done or was finishing up there, I posted on Facebook that I was graduating with a communications degree and was looking for a job, and if anyone knew of anything in that realm to let me know. And so I think I had like a month left till graduation, and like 5 minutes after I posted on Facebook, Josh Wilson, who's from Longview, went to Mark Morris, was a big time basketball star here, direct messaged me and was like, "Hey man, I have this idea. Sounds crazy, but I've kind of been testing the waters with it, and I think that you and I together could do some things with it." And it was Roots.
Awesome.
And so Josh and I got to know each other through the summers. Basically everyone that played college ball from the area, when we would come home, we would work out together, because we needed to make sure that we returned to our colleges in tip top shape and ready to go. And so Josh was kind of the guy, he was the best player from the area, and he was older than us. And so he took us under his wing and basically just worked us out every single summer with him. And so like Dre Key, myself, there was a few other people that would kind of be in and out, but Dre and I were mostly the ones that were like with him every single day. And so we built this connection with Josh. And then when I posted that, because of those summers that we worked out together, he knew kind of what I was about and who I was, right, and knew that I had a good understanding of the game and worked hard and yada yada. And so he proposed to me the idea of Roots, and I said yes, because I had nothing else to to do. Yeah. I was graduating in a month. I needed to figure out a way to make money, and Josh gave me the only idea that I had moving forward. And I also knew that if I moved home, I could move back in with my mom, and that would save me like a year of rent. Yeah, and so I was like, okay, I don't have any other plans.
Seems like a perfect opportunity, really.
Perfect opportunity to save money. Yeah. And to get my feet underneath me. And I really enjoyed Josh. I think he's an awesome guy. And so that's kind of how that initially.
Okay. So how'd you take it from just you guys meeting up to work out into Roots?
Yeah. So
I mean, obviously that's a long story, but
right.
How about when he originally hit you with the idea? What was the idea? Is it different than what it is now?
Yeah. So the original idea was like, hey, I think that we can make money by working out kids.
Okay.
And so like a kid would come to us and pay us to work them out, put them through a basketball workout for like an hour. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he said, I've been doing it a little bit, all the different places that I've been, just to make a few extra dollars. And I think there's a big need for it in Longview, Kelso. And so I had never had a trainer. Like as a basketball player, it was always just like my dad, my mom, like them helping me with stuff, or if I was on a team, that coach.
Right.
But I never had like a skills trainer. It was kind of a new idea. And so when Josh proposed that to me, I knew what it was, but I wasn't sure if there was actually a need for it.
Right.
Because I had never used one, Dre had never used one. The people that I knew never used one. And so that was his idea. He was like, hey, I'm seeing that trainers are popping up here and there. Mm-hmm. There's nothing in Longview, Kelso. I think that we could be those people. And so that's like the idea that started snowballing.
Yeah. That's super excellent. That's cool that you guys were seeing, you saw he especially saw an opening, and he's like, we could really do this. And then now it's turned into, I mean, you're still very much involved.
Yeah.
It's turned into, so how many years ago was that, from like the message and the meetups at the beginning? Tell me, how many years ago was that?
So we started messaging each other probably in like 2012.
Okay.
And so like 8 years ago, right. And Josh had been doing it in a very different version, but like on his own 2 years before that. So Roots is technically like 10 years old now.
Nice.
He kind of was calling it Roots back then, but he had a few clients. He had like 1 or 2 clients here and there. And it kind of was built on the back of when Josh was growing up, he had a guy named Roosevelt Smith, who was the head person at the YMCA. And Roosevelt was the assistant coach at Lower Columbia for basketball. And Roosevelt kind of took Josh under his wing and worked him out for free for years and years. I can't remember how they got connected, but he would go from the YMCA every morning at like 5:30 or 6 a.m. before school, and Roosevelt would just work Josh out. And so Josh always had like this feeling that he had to give it back to the next generation.
Right.
Because, this guy did all this amazing coaching for him for free. He wanted to figure out a way to like pay it forward, essentially.
That's incredible. I mean, that's almost the payment for that guy to be doing it for free. It's very full circle.
Yeah.
The way things work. So what do you guys do as far as location wise at the beginning? How do you start things out location wise?
Yeah. So essentially we would just like try to get in any school we could get into.
Right.
So we were probably, janitors' worst nightmares when we would pull up to a school at like 7 p.m. and the janitors see us walking up, like it's the last thing they want to see.
No doubt.
Two guys that want to use the gym while they're trying to clean up and go home.
Right.
So we would go to like Kelso High School or Ari Long High School or, middle schools nearby, and we would use it until we got kicked out.
Right.
And so, like the first couple years, it was us bouncing from gym to gym, getting kicked out from, one location, driving to a new one. And at that time, there wasn't this thing going on. And so the schools didn't really understand what we were doing. There wasn't really a process in place to like ensure that we would have a space locked down for a certain amount of time.
Right.
Which is tough because when you have clients and you say, hey, I'm going to work you out from 8 to 9 p.m. at Cascade Middle School.
Right.
And you go to Cascade and then at 8:05 you get kicked out. What do you and your client do?
Bummer.
So it's like the first 2 years were tough. We were just like learning. We were learning. The schools were learning. The clients were learning. We were all trying to figure this process out together.
Right. Were you guys getting, business-wise, were you getting clients like from Facebook? Were you posting on Facebook? Was it pretty much, because I think a community like ours has a lot of momentum and just word of mouth, honestly, like word of mouth and social media, of course. Usually like this person who knows this person.
Right.
Do you remember how you guys were getting new people to train and stuff?
Yeah. I think, Josh did a great job. He was an amazing trainer. So every client, I would kind of learn from Josh. Like he would work out the clients and I would be like his assistant for a long time. I would just be there to help.
Yeah.
And so any client that he had originally, like let's say he had 5 kids to start, those kids were telling people.
Right.
What I was good at the time, I wasn't great at the basketball coaching at that moment. I was learning. I was really good at social media. And so I took over the Facebook, and then once Instagram and Twitter were really popping off, I took those over.
Great.
And that's, I think, kind of how things started to multiply.
Right. Yeah. That stuff's important. I had my friend Max on yesterday, and we were talking about something that I've heard said before. I kind of reiterated it. Facebook, I do my fair share of like, oh, social media sucks, get away from social media. But it's also has this goofy annotation, this cute little blue bird and this little F, it's this funky thing. But it's a wonderful tool in so many ways. And a lot of us know how to use this tool just by growing up, like our age, like growing up, having social media, having access to it, like you were fairly fluent in it. And so when this opportunity comes up, it's like, how could I contribute more than like just lending my ear and waiting for an opportunity? You had this social media thing too. I always like really pointing out that social media is such an important thing for like a young entrepreneur, like just starting with your small community, your connections. Like you don't have to have your first post have 100 new clients lined up or whatever, but you just follow your community and it'll take you all around, man.
Right. It's so big. And it's almost, like it was almost helpful in a lazy way too. It's like, would I rather go talk to 100 people in person or send out one post that 100 people will see?
No doubt.
You know what I mean? It's like the introvert in me and the laziness in me was like, let me just do this post.
Yeah. Kind of cutting through it. You gotta figure it out.
Yeah. So I also had fun with it. Like, you can work, with air quotes, on social media from your couch, you know,
No doubt,
while
yeah.
watching, you know, a great movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like while we were done at the gym, let's say I get home at like 10 p.m. from 10 to 1 in the morning, I'd just be working air quotes again, on social media.
Exactly.
And so it was fun to me, you know, and I think, you know, Josh doing a great job on the court. And then I was kind of savvy on the social media. I think those two things combined really helped us to like pick up speed.
So how did you, as the year started going across, you guys, expand in different ways?
Yeah.
And then obviously you probably changed exactly. It's not like you only do social media or something.
Right.
How did you start to expand like your job as a coach yourself
Right.
as the years came along?
Yeah. So, you know, the thing that we knew from the beginning was that we wanted to give back to the community. That was like the big idea. If we could make money while doing it, then it was a cherry on top.
Of course.
And so I had leverage because I was staying at my mom's house with no bills. So I had time. I had time to figure things out. It wasn't like I was like, oh man, I got to pay my $2,000 rent bill this month. Let me figure it out like today.
Yeah.
I had time to figure it out. So I got to make some mistakes that were valuable. And so we knew that we wanted to give back. We knew that we thought there was a need for it. We knew that we had a couple different skill sets. Josh was really good at coaching at the time. I knew basketball, but I was learning the coaching part. And I knew I was pretty good at social media. And so from there, our next step was, how do we get our own home? I mean, you know, the gym was a problem at that point. We were getting kicked out of gyms. We just didn't have a space that we could call our own.
Consistent.
Yeah. And so clients were getting kind of upset because, you know, in the middle of a workout, we're getting booted out because they need to clean the gym floor.
Of course. Yeah.
And so we started shopping for places. And we found, you know, like 5 different warehouses around Cowlitz County that were like doable for a court. But a lot of them didn't have high enough ceilings. And so for a basketball court, you know, it doesn't really matter how wide and long it is, especially if we're just doing like one-on-one skill training sessions. But you need to be able to shoot a basketball high enough so that it goes in the hoop.
Of course.
And so we found one space that kind of met our needs on 3rd Avenue in Longview, 1011 3rd Avenue, Suite 2. And yeah, shout out to Rodman Realty.
Yes. Is that industrial?
Yeah, industrial.
Okay, yeah. I don't know where it technically turns from not industrial. That might be like an old person thing to say.
Yeah. I think it's, I think we had to actually go and get it passed by who would it be? We had to go in front of someone in power.
That's so
we had to go meet Donald Trump.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So Donald Trump had this was years ago, so I can't remember.
Shared one beer together.
Yeah, one hand. And yeah, so it was in the industrial area, and they didn't want us to set up shop there because it was dangerous. Cars would be coming in and out where semi trucks are driving. And so we found the space. It was perfect. It was high enough ceilings to shoot in, but we had this one like thing that we were missing is we weren't allowed to set up our business there. And so we had to go to the Longview, who would it be? City Hall.
Yeah.
I think it was City Hall.
Okay.
And basically propose why we were moving in there, what we were going to do.
It's interesting. I forgot about stuff like that.
Yeah.
The loopholes that you wouldn't think you'd have to jump through.
So we had to get like a certain amount of people to vote in our favor to make it a place that we could have business. But we ended up getting it done, and we moved into there probably, let's see, this is our 5-year anniversary in there. So 2015.
Awesome.
So yeah, 2 years after Roots like really started.
Yeah. And so now now the facility, like what's the facility that you have there? What is it?
Yeah. So it's, before us, it was like a mechanic shop. And so it's now we did a 5-year lease on the space. We purchased a sport court, which is essentially like a basketball court. I picture it almost as like Legos. You can like pick it up and move it. So let's say if we moved to a new place, we could take the court with us. And so we bought this sport court, put it down in there, got 2 hoops bolted in there, and we now have our own home. We have
So
this
awesome.
little tiny cozy basketball gym in this little warehouse.
Dude, I would love to see it one of these
Yeah,
times.
yeah,
If
yeah,
you're
for
around,
sure,
I'd love to stop
for sure.
by. It'd be awesome.
Yeah.
So what kind of, who is all there teaching as trainers? Is it just the 2 of you still, or have you guys expanded? And then also, I would love if you want to talk about just your guys' different coaching styles under the one roof.
Yeah. So it's actually kind of in a weird transition right now. I'm currently coaching at Lewis and Clark College in Portland full time, and Josh is currently coaching full time at Tumwater High School.
Okay.
And so the 2 people that started it are no longer here, which is a bummer, but I think those are results of Roots doing well.
Certainly.
And so right now, Courtney Eaton is the lead trainer, and she played at Mark Morris, is from Longview, went on to play at UC Davis, and is just an all-around stud.
Okay.
And she's the lead trainer. And then the director of Roots is James Fraley. And James is someone that's been in the community for a long time, went to Kelso High School. His daughter now plays at Kelso High School. He is a branch manager at Red Canoe, I believe is his title. I could be totally off. Sorry, James. But he is doing a phenomenal job. He's just really good with numbers. He's really good with kids, and just has the right heart for what we're trying to do. And so those are the 2 people that are in charge right now.
Okay. So how often are you, what's your involvement like nowadays anyway?
Yeah. So year round, I'm involved behind the scenes, but physically I'm very involved in the spring and summer. And so in the spring and summer, I try to lead as many basketball camps as I can. And I like to do traveling camps. And so what I do is I try to get 1 or 2 in Kelso, Longview. And then I like to start going to all the small surrounding towns. So I'll have one in like Toledo. I'll have one in Tootle Lake. I'll have one in Owaco. And so, yeah, essentially right now what I'm doing is camps. That's like my involvement physically.
What is, okay, I was never organized sports. I didn't play. What exactly happens at camp? Like I'm not, of course I know it exists and I've heard plenty about it, but what's your guys' camps like?
Yeah. So we have 2 different phrases or words. One is clinic, and basically what that means for us is like a 1-day event. And then camps is multiple day events. And so what would happen, let's say Jake signed up, right? Little Jake with long great hair. Okay. Jake shows up, and let's say it's 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. We're going to teach Jake how to dribble. We're going to teach Jake how to pass. We're going to teach Jake how to shoot. We're going to teach them the rules of the game. And we're going to try to make basketball be fun in Jake's life. Fantastic. That's our goal for younger kids. Like teach them the basics and leave them having fun. For older kids, it obviously becomes more advanced, and we're trying to teach them like the nuances of the game and like little skills.
You're going to work with them individually, whatever they need. What's your guys' age cutoff? Do you have?
So usually it's like high school seniors.
Of course.
We've worked with college and pro athletes, but that would be more in like a one-on-one setting. But yeah, for our camps, it's like we'll do an elementary camp, a middle school camp, and then like a high school camp.
Okay. Did you go to camps growing up?
A little bit.
Yeah.
The sports world has really changed since, or I feel like it's changed since I've grown up. When I was growing up, I feel like it was more, everything was around your team, and now it feels a little bit more individual. So like teams would go to camps together, or teams would go to tournaments together. Now it's like, oh, this one kid has a skills trainer by himself, or this one kid went to a camp by himself.
How do you feel about that?
I don't love it.
Yeah.
I don't love it.
It seems, you want each person to individually like sculpt themselves. Like we want you to show up to this team as the best version of yourself,
right.
Of course. But there's a little bit of a different goal.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It's I wish there was a better balance of it. I don't love the idea of like a kid going to a skills trainer 5 times a week and just doing one-on-one workouts, because it's a team sport.
Of course.
And so if you're constantly just thinking about yourself and what you can do, you've kind of lost sight of what the actual sport is.
Right.
And so to me, like a great balance would be if a kid came and saw a skills trainer to try to tighten up some of their skills, but then did team activities like 4 days a week. I feel like that would be like a good balance.
Okay. So how do you get, when you're working, let's say one-on-one with somebody, the mindset behind like where they're at and where they can get better, and if they, hey, you need to be focusing more on the team. Let's dive in a little bit of the mindset. What's usually your first base? You're like, let's see what this person needs. Like how can I help this person be a better basketball player, a better athlete?
Yeah. I mean, it even goes deeper than that. Sometimes I'm trying to figure out if they are even wanting to get better, or if they just want a safe space to exercise.
Right.
Or if they just want a place to have fun and dribble ball and smile. So the first thing is like, are they even here to really get better? Like, should I be coaching them like that? Or should I be more like a supporter and like try to build this space that they have fun? And so I'm trying to figure that out.
That's
first.
very important to know on your end. I like that you said that. That really hits me hard. I feel like just knowing, because some of them do have different goals. Like some of them are just so want to go one way, and that's what they're there to do. Right. And that is important. I feel like because each person is going to be different.
Yeah, I mean, it took a lot of time to figure that out. I started having kids come to Roots that I would ask them like, "Oh, hey, how's your high school season going?" And they would go, "Oh, I don't play for the high school team." And I'm like, "Oh, you've been working out with me for 2 years, like every day." And they're like, "Yeah, I just enjoy coming." It was like for me, it was my mind was blown. I was like, "Oh, like this is just as if, like I went and hired a piano teacher." Right. Like I don't have to go perform. I could just learn piano. Yeah. I don't need to be on a team, or you know what I mean?
We forget the point of why we're doing things a lot of the times.
Right. Or maybe I'm just having fun doing it.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's the end goal. Exactly. And so it took me a long time to figure that out first. But let's say they were a kid that wanted to grow their skills to play on a team to get better at basketball. Then from there, I would do like an initial assessment of their dribbling, their shooting, their passing, their defense, try to figure out where they're at as far as experience level. And then try to attack like their 3 biggest weaknesses and improve like their 3 biggest strengths. So I would do like 3 of each.
Yeah, that's great. Dude, I like, again, just finding what each individual person's goal is. We shot a few hoops before, and I was just telling you, I've never been super competitive. You were kind of saying you have certain areas where you've gotten less competitive as well. For me, I go shoot hoops in my driveway a lot, and I don't play basketball, and I'm not against playing with my friends and stuff, but it's enjoyable just in my life. I don't plan on being in shape just in case someone wants to 1v1 me and I got to swash on them, but just being able to enjoy the fitness aspect of 20 minutes of getting a little bit of workout in my driveway is so enjoyable. And it's cool that you offer that to, I feel like I wasn't thinking like that when I was younger. It's cool that there's people that are younger that are like, yeah, like this is fulfilling and I just enjoy this. Yeah. So give me a great way to work out.
I just want to be here for this hour, then nothing more.
That's so sick.
Yeah. It was a new idea to me that I had to like figure out. I was like, oh, maybe every kid that I'm seeing is coming to me for a different reason. Right. Where when I initially first started, I was thinking every kid's coming to me to try to get a college scholarship, which is not even close to the truth.
Do you think, I'm not just like assuming this, I literally don't know, like high school coaches, like not just the ones but let's say like generally high school coaches, do a lot of them, do they have similar mindsets as you? Do they know that their students like each person, like some of these kids, yes, want to go to college, but some of them are just here for this reason? I don't know. I guess I do see a lot of like on TV and stuff. You see like the angry coach. Yeah. I don't know how real that actually is.
I mean, I think the majority of them get it. Yeah. I think we're pretty blessed with some really good people around here as far as coaches. So yeah, I think the majority of the people that I've been around kind of understand that concept.
And I think a coach is an important person in a young person's life, like sometimes having an adult you can trust that's not just your parents that you can go to and they're going to take care of you in an area that's new to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's such a cool thing.
I went through probably the most life-changing thing in my coaching world. I went through it's called 3D coaching, and basically what it is it's like a class, but it's like a one-on-one thing you would do with someone that's been through it before. And so it's a book, and it works hand in hand with like this web seminar. So you're reading this book, you're going through this web seminar, and then you have this instructor with you that's been through it. And so I did this. It's called 3D coaching, and my instructor was Kane Ulrich, who's a local. He works at a church in town, and he's also involved with FCA, which is a like Christian athlete group. And he led me through this series, and it was really eye-opening. Basically it was going down that realm of what we were just talking about, which is how important a coach is in a young person's life. And one of the things that really, caught my ear when we were doing this seminar was, the book was talking about how one of the most influential sentences that, a young person hears and repeats to other people is, "My coach says ... Mm-hmm. And it really grabbed me. I was like, that is true. Whatever we do say, a lot of these kids take it as 100% fact, and they take it and they get motivated by it, they get inspired by it, and they will do what you say, which is, if used correctly, amazing. If used incorrectly, is very dangerous.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so you have like this double-edged sword where it's like, we have a lot of power.
Yeah.
And hopefully people in these positions are using it correctly. And, it made me realize that everything I say needs to be on point.
Yeah, definitely. It's so cool that you were willing to step into that too. It's cool. A lot of times we like realize the complexity of our positions, and it seems wavering. It seems a little scary sometimes. It's great that you're willing to step into it and like, okay, I see this, like these kids are listening to what I'm saying. And I have similar revelations in my own world where I'm like, okay, if people are going to listen, you got to give them a little advice or don't waste their time with what they're hearing, especially with kids when they, like you said, they'll just lock on to one thing. Like, this is the absolute truth. Like this sentence that I'm going to repeat. It made me think of, Friday Night Lights, the show.
Yeah.
Did you watch that?
I mean, I know of it.
It was on football, but they had the clear eyes, full heart, can't lose.
Yeah.
I know that's just like a cliche thing, but I just remember that from that movie, and like the kids would always repeat it on the show and stuff.
Right.
But the coach would expand on what those sort of things mean.
Yeah. I mean, when you're, someone's coach, someone's teacher, or someone's boss, you have a lot of influence.
Yeah.
And, so, early on, thankfully I was taught or coached by really awesome people. And so I had really good influence in my life. And I think those people are kind of working through me now as I'm now a coach,
So
which is sweet.
Yeah, it's so cool that you can be a sum of the different coaches that you've had. Because like me, I feel like I've had so many little, guardian angels of sorts that pop up in my life. But at the time when you're young, you don't really see them. You're like, oh, this is a person I know at this time.
Right.
And then as you get older, you're like, oh, for like 3 years of my life, they were just like teaching me super important stuff, and I locked onto that.
Right.
And that's kind of how you grow into be. So let's jump forward a little bit to your coaching now. Yeah. What's how different is life now from teaching just more coaching one-on-one and at Roots versus what you're doing now?
Yeah. So now coaching at Lewis and Clark College on the women's side. So I'm the head assistant coach for the Lewis and Clark College Pioneers women's basketball team. And so it's awesome. I love it. I absolutely love it. My goal right now is to eventually become a head coach in that same division on the women's side. And so that's kind of what I'm aiming for. I'm really, really enjoying it. I've learned a lot about women,
right.
a lot about women. And, they've taught me a ton. So I'm really enjoying it.
How was that? Was that hugely different? Like, of course you would just think going into it, like, okay, there's probably going to be things I'm going to be ready for them. There's going to be things I can't expect right now.
Right.
Just teaching men versus women. Or did you teach younger women before?
Yeah. So at Roots, I did boys and girls.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't totally.
Yeah. So, but it was a lot. This is way more in depth. I'm with this team, it feels like 40 hours a week.
Right.
Versus like I would see a kid like 3 hours a week.
Right.
Different faces. I'm seeing the same faces like every day.
What's that friendship relationship like? You're inevitably going to form friendships with people you're with so often.
Yeah.
Of course, it's a little bit different. It's each coach and stuff. But
right. Yeah. I mean, it's it's different. I think I'm more like big brother to them.
Oh, nice.
You know what I mean? So yeah, we're friendly with each other, but I wouldn't say we're like friends. We're not like, obviously like hanging out or anything, but
right.
They follow me on social media and they think that's funny. And, they make fun of what I wear and, I'm a dork to them. So that whole aspect is funny to me. And,
right.
Obviously, I have an older sister and I lived with my mom, growing up all the way until I moved out. So I have been around women, but being around, 15 women every single day for 5 hours a day is a whole new ball game.
It's a different world. Yeah, it's a new ball game in many ways.
New ball game, but they're amazing. We have the coolest kids. It's a high academic school, so these kids are really smart in the classroom. And they're just phenomenal kids, really nice kids, really just hardworking kids. And, they've taught me a lot. Yeah, for sure.
Huh. That's awesome. That's cool. So who were, as far as on the, let's say, pop culture, like Michael Jordan, let's go. Nate Tansman, he was telling me, he tells me who his Michael Jordan is.
Okay.
Who was your Michael Jordan? Who were your influences outside of your, the wonderful coaches in your life?
Yeah. Who's my Michael Jordan? That's a good question. Should we, in the coaching world?
Could be in the coaching world. It doesn't have to be in the coaching world, though. I guess that was a pretty big bridge to gap.
Yeah. But Michael Jordan. Okay, so, I always pictured my parents as superheroes. For the longest time, I always thought they were superheroes, invincible. Right. So I'm not even going to count them. I'm not going to count them.
They're just up. They're just inevitably.
They're in a different world.
Yeah.
I've really liked Magic Johnson growing up, who played for the Lakers. Okay. And the reason I got into him is my dad would have these VHS tapes, which for you younger kids, go ahead and Google that.
Watch a video on it on
watch
YouTube.
A video on YouTube about what a VHS is.
Oh, it's so weird.
So weird. And so I really got into him as an athlete. I thought he was a really, really cool athlete. He had a ton of charisma. Yeah. He was always smiling. He played with a little bit of flash, and I liked that about him. So I wore his number in high school. I thought he was really, really cool. But as far as in the coaching world, I kind of looked up to John Wooden, who was the famous coach from UCLA. And the reason I liked him is he seemed like one of those guys that his players would invite him to their weddings. You know what I mean? It's it's the guy that they would call 20 years later to see how he's doing and, tell their coach that maybe they were having a kid or
fantastic.
And so to me, that's in the coaching world, that's kind of who I want to be. I want to be the guy that gets invited to 100 weddings.
That's so beautiful for you to say. I like that you said that, man. I think that it's important. I just like bringing it up because I think that it's important for any kid of any age to allow yourself to have a mentor. And if your parents or you have bigger brothers or people close to you, look up to them too. And of course your coaches, but it's okay to have these oh, that would be cool to be like that one day. Cause you kind of grow up and you start making moves that sort of make it seem like it's going to happen,
Right. Who are your people for that?
I don't know, man. I'm so influenced by so many broad subjects and so many different things. I've always liked a ton of different stuff.
Yeah. What was the first one that came to mind?
Honestly, the first one that came to mind was probably John Bellion.
Okay.
That wasn't when I was young, I didn't super.
Is that the shirt you're wearing?
It is the shirt I'm wearing. I have kind of his thing tattooed on the back of my neck too. Beautiful Mind.
Nice.
Yeah, that was me and my buddy Tyler got those coinciding tattoos. But so my influence there is just I look up to him in the form of his just ability to completely be himself. It seems like he just expresses, like he's not afraid to be like nervously himself or just express himself. And I don't know. I think it's super important for us to have idols and have people we put on pedestals. And a lot of times, like, you know, I've been a DJ for a long time. I get caught up in my share of ego, like hardcore, man. And a lot of times when you're so into yourself, you even like older people who aren't even in your lane, you just see them as competition in a strange way, and instead of like an idolization. And it could be some sort of situation like, you know, that's a great man, and I would love to be, you know, like him one day. Right. You know, those sort of things. Right. I have my sort of daydreams of like, who could I be in the community when I am like 65, like in those similar ways. And it's cool to let yourself think like that broad term, because it gives you can set your little stars. Like, I'm going to shoot at those. Right.
You know? What would your dream life look like in 5 years? And I know that can be maybe even a tough answer, but
I like that though. Let's see. My dream life in 5 years. I think that at this particular moment in my life, meditation is such a huge thing to me, and it's such an inner understanding and calling and exploring the mind. A lot of things are meditation, honestly. So 5 years, pipe dream, it would be to either have opened or have in the area have a meditation retreat. Cool. Not that I'm like super shooting for that on purpose, but if we're just pipe dreaming the next 5 years, I think that would be cool. What about you? Like if you were in your world in the next 5 years?
Man, in the next 5 years, I would be a head coach of a college team. I would have a podcast.
You'd have a podcast.
I would have a six pack.
You'd have a six pack. You don't have a six pack?
No. What else? You have more than just the meditation retreat, right?
Yeah, I definitely do.
Okay. Let's go back and forth.
Let's swap back and forth. All right, cool. Let's dream. Musically, in my music terms, I want to push myself DJ wise. I want to do things that, I know this is cliche, but I want to do things people have never seen before on stage. Okay. I'm someone who I'm like, I see more and more people not giving into the person on stage, and they're like, I want it to be like this. I have these expectations. I want, I want to try to, without even mentioning the word phone, I want to give them a reason to never pull out their phone because they're so transfixed with what the hell's going on stage. So I want to do like something very inspirational music wise in the next 5 years too.
Live shows.
Okay. Yeah, I want to do something different with live shows.
Let's see, my turn. In the next 5 years, I will have a dog. In the next 5 years, so I'm looking forward to that. And that will require probably a house. With right now, I'm in an apartment downtown Portland with, it's the size of a porta-potty. And
is it a porta-potty?
It is a porta-potty.
Are you doing okay, man?
Yeah, I don't have to pay rent though. It's literally a porta-potty. But I can't have dogs in there. It's a one of those apartments where the landlord says no go on pets. It's not big enough for a pet.
What's going to be your dog? Have you decided?
I don't know. I think I'm going to be one of those guys that just goes to the shelter, and like the first one that gives me the beady eyes is coming home with me.
Do it. I definitely, they even, a lot of them have, and you probably know too, they have like foster programs where, because a lot of times, maybe the dog just doesn't match up, and I don't want to like discourage you at all, but we did foster dog for a little bit. Okay. And he was so cute and so great in so many ways, but he had very bad separation anxiety, and we were hoping for a dog that we could leave at home for a couple hours a day. Right. But anyway, we actually ended up getting, down the months, we like returned him to the Humane Society. We're like, unfortunately, we're not going to be the best fit for him. but he got to this older couple who was retired, who could be with him 24/7, and they
So it worked
messaged us
out.
on Facebook because they knew about it, and like they would send Shaylee photos every couple months of it.
Very cool.
So you want to get a dog? You did say, I gotta go back though. You did say you want a podcast.
Yeah, I do want a
About that.
podcast. So
What would a podcast be for you?
to me, it would be me just being able to talk to people that I enjoy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And like, if it goes anywhere, it goes anywhere. But honestly, it would just be an excuse for me to sit down for an hour, 2 hours a week and talk to people.
Look what I'm doing. Man.
That's
so
why
great.
I'm inspired by it. Is like, what you're doing is very cool. And when I saw it online, I was like, okay, it's cool that I know this guy. It's cool that it's an actual professional setup. It's cool that he's talking to interesting people. It's cool that the conversations are cool.
Great.
And so I've always wanted to do that. You know, like I bought like a Blue Yeti, microphone maybe 2 years ago now. It hasn't come out of the box.
Oh no.
But
it seems like so much at the beginning, because there is like, it's not as simple as just you sit in front of a mic and talk. It's like the setup and all the things you need, and where do you post it and how do you post it and all that stuff.
yeah, and when all the cords are unplugged and then everything's in the middle of the room, what am I going to do?
Well, dude, I will. No bullshit. I would love to help you.
Okay.
Like
I will hold you to that.
Yesterday,
You heard it here, guys.
You heard it here. Lock it in, and I won't edit this part out. No, but it was either yesterday or the day before. Yeah, slap. The day before, I mentioned to Shaylee this same thing. I was like, I want to emphasize. I want to help get other podcasts off the ground.
Cool.
So I literally said this. So we should have a day. We'll figure it out after the podcast.
Cool.
We'll have a day. Let's maybe the next couple months we can get you going. It doesn't even have to be anything crazy. And
Would love that.
yeah, awesome.
I'll have to see if my porta potty has any plugins, but we'll
Porta potty plugins.
porta potty plugins.
All right, if
that
you
could be the name of the podcast.
I was just going to say, if you had to give it a name right now, what would it be?
Porta potty plugins.
Welcome to the
PPP.
Roots podcast, also known as Porta Potty Plugins.
Porta potty plugin Pisapia.
It really rolls off the tongue.
I mean,
terribly.
yeah. Who doesn't want that shirt?
I would wear it. Have you thought of like a name or anything? Even just creatively.
Part of me, because I'm going into the world of coaching, that I need to make sure I'm not saying crazy stuff. You know what I mean? I need to like,
Yeah, dude, I have free range. I can't say anything.
So, part of me wants to name it like I'm learning. So like if I do mess up, I can be like, yeah, that was, 3 years ago.
Right.
And I'm learning.
Dude, I have so much of that. I have even when I posted my first few, or like they were kind of out of order. I listened to one of the more first few. I'm like, dude, I suck at talking. Like I interrupted that person, or I did this or whatever. And I was like, hopefully people don't think that I'm just that if they listen to that episode. And it was like this whole thing. And of course, Shaylee talks, she's like sensible. And it's so funny. We think that like we're going to put our foot in our mouth so bad, but it's you can only do the best that you can right now. And it seems like people do understand that. I always dread, I would hate, I've already said here a couple times, I think I've mixed up just simple things like dopamine and oxytocin. And I've done it multiple times as I've listened to the podcast. And I'm like, dude, nobody cares. That was the thing.
Right.
There's part of me that wants to get hung up on it, right? And there's part of me that's like, dude, I'm just glad that you're doing this. What I'm ranting about here, Scott, is I think that you could just get going on it, and just, even if you had one episode like, hey, I'm just going to tell you what's going on. Here's who I am. I'm not perfect. I just think this is something enjoyable. I'm going to do my best. If there's anything that, if you come onto my podcast and you want to make sure I don't go over any certain thing or whatever, bring it up. But, yeah.
I think it'd be fun. I really like what you're doing. And that when I saw you doing it, I was like, maybe I can do it.
Yeah,
because I know him, and I'll make him come set mine up.
Yes, you've got it down. This is perfect. Yesterday, I said that I've been actually just secretly doing this podcast. So, strange. I was secretly been doing this podcast just so I can ask them, like, hey, if there was a zombie apocalypse, where would you go? Just so I have like some red spots on a map, so I know all the safe spots.
Yeah, a few safe spots. I don't have one for you.
You sure?
Let me think. Roots wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, not bad.
It wouldn't be bad because there's a lock.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of like vantage points. It kind of depends though. We always get to this,
industrial.
Like, is it the crazy zombies, like the World War Z zombies where they're sprinting, or is it just like the
If it's the ones, then we might be okay at roots.
Yeah.
There's a lot of basketballs. We could get a high point and throw basketballs at them.
Yeah.
I had a question for you, and it was important, but now I'm forgetting.
I just steamed it.
Should we just pause for like 12 minutes?
We could.
And just sit here quietly?
Yeah, we could.
Okay. Ready, set, go.
Listen to your breath.
What was it? Do you have anything?
I do.
Okay. It's bothering me. Okay. I have it.
Okay, hit it. Perfect.
Okay. Do you have any New Year's resolutions?
I do. Okay, so what we do every year, and don't let me forget, I want to hear what your New Year's is like, because I feel like you probably have a great New Year's situation too. So every year we do some sort of, me and Shay and Megan and a couple of our other friends, it kind of varies, but we go to like a cabin, we rent some sort of Airbnb. A few times we've done snowboarding, just like away in the woods. If we don't have cell phone service, that's super great for New Year. So we did just seaside this year. At midnight, we went to the ocean. Me and my friend Megan Elam, we sprinted at midnight just to the ocean. And for me, I threw away lack in 2019. And then I had like a word that came back that's like powerful to me that I kept. And so we kept on to, my word was authorship. So I'm going to work a lot on my writing so that's definitely a huge resolution for 2020 for me. But we've done, talking to you about Whole30, 6 days. On January 6th, we did another thing of Whole30 just as like a January momentum to kick off 2020, which is a diet where it's kind of like paleo. You stay away from all added sugars and all like the weird stuff that you can't pronounce on the back of labels and alcohol and all that sort of stuff. I feel like that's pretty much our New Year's resolution situation. I think mine mainly is going to be that word authorship has been pretty huge on my mind. So I'm kind of seeing where that takes me.
Do you want to write articles, books, stories?
Well, so I write every day.
Okay.
I growing up, before my, like, let's say before and littered throughout, I kind of had a little bit of a traumatic childhood. I had rough patches in my childhood, but when things were good, I wrote a lot. I loved to write short stories, and I would like stay after class and like have poor teachers like proofread them and edit them for me.
Yeah. And they just want to get out of there.
Probably, but like I feel bad for this kid.
Yes, I'll do it again, Jake.
He's writing about dragons again.
It's great.
Yeah, but I don't know. When I first started this whole the year and a half ago, like I'm gonna do this, like whatever is in my heart, I gotta just run at it full force, whatever I'm doing here. I was very much like, I have to write a book. Like, in the book to me is like how to heal from depression, like how to get better, why you should get better, all these things. And like, I'll start writing chapter 1, and it just is 8 pages of like kind of around that subject, but it just is like floaty. And I'm not I didn't go to school for writing. My subjects, I need a little bit more time to perfect my craft, essentially. Right. So I don't know if it's going to be authorship, as in like a book that's published. I write a lot of poetry. I wouldn't mind doing even just like blogs that are 10-minute reads on my site. I essentially have a ton of rough draft stuff. And in 2020, I want to figure out exactly where that goes.
That's cool.
I write every day. We got to figure out where it goes in 2020.
Cool.
Yeah. Cool. What about you? Give me your...
Before I forget, what are some of your staples in the Whole30? Like, what are you eating?
Oh, for me, I'm a huge steak guy. I eat, even outside of Whole30, I just eat a ton of steak. So today, for example, I had bacon that is nitrate free. So nitrate is, I think, one of the additives.
It's in like fireworks, I believe.
Likely. Jesus. So nitrate free bacon, steak, and hash browns. And there's a certain kind of hash browns that you can get that just throw them in the pan. A lot of veggies. There's so many different ways. We have this Whole30 book that you can get on Amazon. You just flip through it and it's like every picture is like, oh, I forgot about that. Like there's just, it's like, oh, you can have peppers, but you forget that you can have peppers and cut off the top and fill it with like eggs and so, there's so many different intricate things to eat. Right. There's like paleo chips. They're like banana chips or plantain chips. Sorry, you get those on Amazon. So like I can still eat chips and stuff. There's not added whatever. So steak, chips.
Are you feeling good?
Veggies. I feel so good.
Yeah.
My mental clarity is I think I mentioned earlier, I should probably drink less coffee when I'm on Whole30 because you don't have those bogged down. Like for me, a lot of times waking up in the morning is when I feel the food that I've eaten wrong, or if I've had like, a beer or two. Right. It's not the hangover. It's like the stomach, right? The older gut. You get, dude, it's like you rot. Feel every beer that you drink. It's not going super well in there. Have you said you'd heard of Whole30. Have you ever done any like the elimination diet? Yeah.
So I've been playing around with vegetarian and vegan a little bit.
Okay.
And, I don't feel any different, but
no, I was like waiting for a revolutionary.
I had a huge revelation.
Yeah.
I don't feel any different, but, I don't know. I would like to like get on a really healthy kick. I think for me, a variation of Whole30 would be where I'd feel best.
Yeah, dude. I just like the mixing up of, it forces you to eat these certain things. Like, so you can't just be like, fucking add maple syrup to like whatever doesnit sound good. Right. So it makes you be creative and it makes you like spend a little more time with what you're cooking. And I think it adds a little more sentiment sometimes too.
It just makes sense. Like they're actual real foods.
Yeah.
So there's not much more you need to say. It's just actual food.
It's so weird because before I had done Whole30, I'd done a ton of diets, and I hate even saying these sentences, done diets or whatever. We all have a diet, right? We all eat. But it genuinely it changed my perspective about the things that I eat and like the way that I eat. Whole30 did. It flips it. But I think that just trying anything for 10 days, for 15 days, for 30, and just being stern about it. Our society has so many options and so many like, I don't want this thing. I'm going to pick this up because I can. And it's so available. I think it's like super good for someone, I was telling you, I have ADHD, and for me, like sometimes it's not so great to just let myself rip and have a million options. It feels strangely a little more structured when I like, hey man, let's just focus on this thing for right now.
Right.
I haven't done, I would love to try vegetarian or vegan for 30 days or something.
Yeah. Vegetarian's not that hard, to be honest. Like you don't have to make many changes. Yeah. Pretty much everything that you would normally eat, you could have just supplement maybe a beef patty for a vegetarian patty or whatever. But vegan's a little bit more difficult, like cutting out the dairies and the cheeses and all that. You really have to think about what you're doing, but I don't know. I right now I just eat like crap, and I'm gonna try to get better.
Try to get better.
Yeah. But my go-to right now, if anyone is also eating like crap, get a Digornos cheese freezer pizza. Okay, with me so far?
I'm in this. On the 7th when I'm off Whole30, I'm just gonna
go do
the elimination diet. I'm just gonna ruin the elimination.
So you get one of those. Okay, put the oven to 400, 21 minutes. When it comes out, cut up a green bell pepper, a couple of them, and then a couple tomatoes. Put those on top with red chili flakes, and then ranch to dip. Ranch to dip too. Yeah, and then you're a happy camper for about 5 minutes.
I'm coming over. So let's do
porta-potty pizza.
Porta-potty pizza, and we might like crap ourselves. So we'll get a roots workout in here too.
Yeah.
We'll probably crap ourselves if we eat all the pizza before the workout.
Yeah. So we'll work out before,
and then we'll feel deserving of our.
Yeah, and then we'll cancel the workout out with our porta-potty pizza.
That's how it works.
But and then if you start to feel bad, you're in a porta-potty already, so you're ready to rock.
You just painted yourself into living in a porta-potty somehow.
You can like almost touch like wall to wall in the middle of my quote unquote living room.
Man.
Yeah.
Are you, how are you about that? You're a low temperament person. Like, are you just pretty content? Like,
I don't need much. I think I got that from my dad.
Awesome.
Like, I just don't need much. I need like, if I have like $24,000 a year, I'm good.
Dude, I'm with you on that. I think that there's going to be times in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm ready for money because I want to do something with it. But I don't know. I've been pretty content with just like, like I'm able to get a good book on Audible when I'm, and like afford a beer on
Right.
the road, sort of things. Sometimes we grasp for all this money. Everybody wants all this money. And it's like, sometimes you don't need all the money. That's just more stuff to deal with sometimes.
Right. The only thing that I think would be really cool. Sorry, I'm reading that TV. What does it say? I'm broken out. I can still be used for art. Nice.
I'm broken, but I can still be used for it.
Oh, nice. There you go. I love that. But the only thing that I am bummed out about not having money is it'd be cool to like just make other people's lives cool. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
like imagine if I gave you $30 million today, what you could do for your friends, or not even friends, just like people that need it.
Or even just as small as like, I would like to leave $100 tip to this person who just gave me a great day. This girl was so sweet to me. Like, I would love that.
Yeah, that's the bummer.
Yeah.
Like if that's the only thing that I'm like, man, maybe I should chase money just so I can do that.
Okay, so let's say our first wish from a genie, we just found a lamp, we're rubbing it, boom, 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 genie comes out. Our first one is we already got whatever amount of money so we can do all these cool things we just said. We only got 2 wishes left. You only got 2 wishes from this genie. Okay. What are your other 2?
Okay, do you have one off the top of your head while I'm thinking? Or
I do. Okay. I'm thinking that I thought I had it was Foreman. It was some sort of like concert venue of my own, but it was just really exciting. And now I'm second guessing. I feel like if you only had 2 wishes, I would be so indecisive.
I know.
Like if that was a real reality.
The first one that came to my mind was that you would be able to snap your fingers and transport to wherever you want on the snap of your fingers.
Right.
Just because like, then I wouldn't have to fly anymore. Like.
But you think you would do some lazy shit and be like, I'm going to go over there.
Yeah.
You're just sitting on a toilet.
You would end up doing that. You'd be like from bed to shower to couch, couch to bed. You wouldn't even like go to like.
I was wondering about that stuff. How do clothes work in those situations? Like, how do your clothes know that like I'm also a part of this human ability to come with this person?
And then you show up naked to the next spot.
You're like, cool, I got this power.
Yeah,
but that's the
arrested.
thing that the genie didn't tell you. He's like, well, you didn't say anything about your clothes. And you're like, so this
you have to
power
be really specific.
It makes me naked literally every time.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe transportation would be cool, like snap of the fingers. I mean, like you could go down the suffering and like world peace and like, you know what I mean? Like
probably should focus a couple wishes on this.
Yeah, like hunger, like
transporting naked. I don't know. I don't want to give that up. I mean, I know world hunger and stuff.
I know there's people out there that literally don't have food, but I'd rather be able to transport naked to LA today.
The traffic, LA traffic. What can you do?
Not a big fan of turbulence. Yeah, I don't know, man. That I'll take the transportation one as my like the one I want.
Okay.
And then I'll do the hunger one. Like, let's solve that.
Okay, cool. All right, you got hunger. So let's do
one that's really, like for you, and then do one for the world.
One for me and one for the homies. Okay. So my one for the homies, I'm pouring out a 40 of Old English. And the one for my homies, the one for the world is sex trafficking. I'm just going to end all sex trafficking. However I can do that. Because my boy Ashton Kutcher.
Yeah, Ashton Kutcher would be the genie.
Yeah. Have you, so I've heard that as a headline, like, have you heard much about that? Like how he funds and like he helps these people like get out of sex trafficking. He like exposes like these crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
whatever.
I don't know much more than the headlines. Does he have like an app that he created for it too? That's like helping quite a bit.
I don't know.
For some reason, I'm probably totally making that up.
No. That seems like the next logical step of where we're at. I mean, might as well make an app for it.
But yeah, it seems like he's killing it.
So Ashton Kutcher he's taking care of that wish. But if I can help him out, I mean, I don't want to put him out of a job, but I want to help these people, right?
It ruins his life.
He comes
Some
to me.
dude named Jake got a genie.
He's like, what the hell, man? He comes to me homeless.
Naked.
He's like, you took my job.
He's like, I transported here by snapping my fingers.
Okay, what's my wish for me? What's my ability? I think I like solitude. So something I want. Okay, I'm just gonna go with the ability to transport with clothes. Okay. So I'm gonna go to the woods as often as I want by myself, but with clothes.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna fix your idea.
All right. Well, my idea sucks now. Now that you have a with clothes transport. Yeah, no, that'd be fun though. That would be cool.
Yeah.
I always go down like these crazy with my team. Like we'll be driving to a game 2 hours away and I'll be like, would you rather be in prison for a year or homeless for a year with no shelter?
You can kind of get to know somebody in a pretty good way.
Yeah.
I kind of have my own, like where I'm like, oh, let's, I think we cover the subjects that I thought initially. I'll kind of throw those out there.
Yeah. Yeah. They get sick of me real quick. They're like, I'm listening to music.
I've had it, Scott.
Yeah. Would you rather drive and shut up or,
Do they call you Scott or what?
Yeah, they call me Scott.
Has there been any sort of...
Did you hear my voice?
Have you tried to get like, will you just respectfully call me?
No.
Pisapia?
No.
You
I just don't care.
Yeah.
Like it just seems like a weird thing to care about. I care about like 3 things in life, and that's not one of them.
What are they?
Like I care about. I really don't like people being like bummed out. Like I hate. Like it bothers me seeing someone get bummed out about. I don't know. I just don't like seeing people hurt. So that's one thing. Family stuff is another.
Of course.
And then my DiGiorno cheese pizzas with bell peppers and tomatoes.
I'm with you on that. I'm gonna say I've been a cold 3 weeks probably without a pizza. At this
Really?
point.
Oh yeah, you can't.
Yeah. So
Well, could you? Is there a way that you could?
There is like a gluten-free crust.
Okay.
Like cauliflower crust.
Oh, okay. So you could.
You can't have cheese, but nutritional yeast. That sounds
I heard
terrible.
it tastes cheesy though.
Yeah, it's like, so we had it on these baked potatoes that we made the other night, and it smells like the Kraft cheese powder.
Okay.
Which, I don't know what that really is. If that's food or
it's not.
I mean, it's delicious and it tastes great on SpongeBob shaped mac and cheese, but I don't know.
Yeah, actually, I saw that on Instagram. Some fitness person was like putting whatever you just said, some sort of yeast on.
You don't put nutritional yeast?
Yeah, on some sort of bowl, and she said it was cheesy and tastes good.
Dude, yeast is one of those words that we're like, we don't really know what exactly it is, but it's
like an STD, isn't it?
Yeah, it's also attached to like something to do with reproductive something, and so it's also weird. But
it's a food, it's an STD, and it's a.
Isn't it also? Isn't it in beer too? Like it's part of. Yeah, I mean, it's this word that we're uncomfortable about.
It's bread,
we don't know why.
Yeah, it's like moist. Is it all the ST words? Moist, yeast. Is that
maybe that they're just so ASMR, dude. Shaylee has this awful list that she likes to bring up and add to out loud, and to have this between her nurse friends of just terrible words like secretion and anal seepage, those sort of nurse terms that I enjoy hearing.
Doesn't sound good. Anal seepage. What is that? Shaylee?
At Shaylee. She'd probably love to come in here and be like, I'll tell you all about anal seepage.
For like an hour.
Dude, she's a savage when it comes to that stuff. Like, I can't, how are you with bodily?
Not good.
I'm not good. Like, I will, like if there's like a dying man, I'm not gonna be like, ooh, gross blood. Of course, like there's this natural thing.
Get away.
But dude, I'm even talking about these things or like seeing them on TV, or like she'll watch surgery shows, and I'm like, not only I'm not eating, but I'm just trying to exist in this home.
Yeah.
And I don't want to see a human ripped open. And then the sound effect, the sound bar's on upstairs, and you just hear the ASMR body sounds.
We could get into it, but I have a real big fear of needles, blood. I've been dealing with, and it's like going down this weird spiral of anxiety, and I've had to see a therapist about it. It's a whole thing.
Are you serious? Yeah. Well, we can stay away from it if you really don't like it, but
I'll let you know if it gets weird, but right now I'm good.
Okay, certainly. Okay, so believe it or not, needles make panic attacks. They just make my butt super sweaty. I get so nervous. Tattoo needles, totally fine. Very comfortable with them.
Okay.
To me, like a doctor needle is very more uncomfortable than a...
Yeah. I, for whatever reason, I just cannot handle it.
I think there's plenty of people.
Yeah. And so the blood thing started coming up where basically what it does, it makes me feel like I'm dying if I'm like around it, and I start spiraling mentally.
Right.
I feel like I'm having a huge panic attack. I feel like I'm dying. I feel like I'm passing out. Yeah, that whole thing. And so when I started getting into coaching, I was like, oh, I'm going to be coaching players that are eventually going to get cut. We're playing in competitive games. Like kids are going to bleed at some point. kids are going to bleed.
This is Sparta.
Yeah, it's going to happen. And so I was like, I need to get ahead of this, so I went and saw a therapist, and the first guy was just not my cup of tea. He was like, I go in, he did not care about my issue.
Okay.
He thought it was like, basically he was like, you wussy, like, what are you doing? And so his way
approach.
it was a weird approach. And he was from Chicago, like probably, tougher guy than I am.
Yeah, he eats different kind of pizza for sure.
Yeah, different kind of pizza. He doesn't live in a porta potty, but he did I think it's called, what is it, aversion? I don't know. Where like he wanted to bring a bunch of needles and fake blood and have me like play with it, like get used to having it in my hands and like.
Okay.
And I was like, I don't want to do. It was immersion. I said aversion.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like dopamine and what was the other
dopamine,
one?
oxytocin. I always on this podcast. I always mix up the two.
And so
Serotonin.
he was like, I was like telling him, I was like, I'm gonna have a panic attack if you do that. Like I came to you to try to not have panic attacks.
You're gonna give me one more.
Yeah, on the first day that I meet you. And so I didn't go to him anymore. Then I went to a new lady. She was very nice, spoke to me very quietly to the point where like I had to get up out of my seat to like get closer to her face to like hear her. But she would walk me through steps of like breathing and like, okay, now let's draw a needle and like,
Okay.
but long story short, it's still a problem.
It's still a problem. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you think it helped at all? Like,
The breathing helped a little bit.
Okay.
Like I use that now when I'm in a situation that I'm struggling with.
right.
But the anxiety is kind of like spiraled. Now I struggle if I'm in a situation that I know I can't get out of.
Ooh, right.
So I believe it's called agoraphobia, maybe, where you're in like a public situation or a social situation that you're not supposed to leave, or you're unable to leave, and you feel almost like trapped. And so that's what I've been struggling with lately. Like, for example, if I'm in a staff meeting at the college, I'm supposed to be there for the next 90 minutes. And me knowing that I'm not supposed to leave the room for 90 minutes gets me freaked out.
Wow. You say that I'm totally the same way in so many areas. That's super cool. So that's kind of what your anxiety seems to stick on to, it seems.
Yeah, it's weird. And I started drinking coffee like maybe 3 years ago, which is weird, super late. Most people start drinking in college when they're like studying and stuff. But for whatever reason, I finally got into it 3 years ago at my job at Bud Clary. And it spiked my anxiety big time, but I love coffee. So
me too.
So I like play like this devil's advocate of like, maybe today's the day it won't spike my anxiety.
No, dude.
But it always does.
We always do stuff like that. That's one thing that I worked at the lumber mill for 5 years, and I was on graveyard, so they called it swing. So it was like 4:30 p.m. to 4:30 a.m. or whatever, 4 days a week. And so inevitably I drank a lot of like monsters and coffee and stuff. But I'd also throw in pre-workout because I would always lift in my few hours in between. Dude, and just like a few years of doing that, like my normal was just like so much caffeine running through my veins at all times. And I would be such a dumb dummy. I'd be like, there's no way all this caffeine is why I can't sleep. Like it's, you know what I mean? Like, and so now I like kind of like beating it to a pulp. I talk about it. It seems like a lot of people, when they talk about it, they're like, yeah, if I just admit out loud, the caffeine, I do have a little bit too much. Cutting that stuff out is great for anxiety.
I know.
Yeah. But, or even like you said, you're just kind of working with it. Like, like,
so for example, like I was a little nervous about today because of, we hadn't really met too much. We just said hi a few times, and I didn't know what I was going to say. I was like, oh, I might say something stupid today, blah, blah, blah. Right. And so normally I would get a coffee today. I have a day off. I like getting up early on Sundays and like going to the coffee shop and like doing some work and reading and drinking way too much coffee. But I knew that I had anxiety for this podcast. And so I was like, shit, I can't have a coffee today because it'll spike it to the point. And so I have to like manage it. Like if I know if I'm getting on an airplane in a day, I can't have coffee on airplane days. I can't have coffee on staff meeting days. I have this weird like schedule now where like,
dude, I think that's smart though. Actually, you know, like I'm, you know, everybody has their vices, like whether it's super deep in an illegal vice, or if it's just coffee or it's social media. We all have our things that we're just pulled to, you know, and that's how we manage our life. I think finding a way to balance it and finding like things that you did that, you know, like I'm not going to have one today because I don't want to add to the anxiety that I'm already feeling, or I don't want to like, I know that it's likely to sneak in here. So yeah,
it got to the point where, so before our college games, they do the national anthem. And so our team stands up on the court for the national anthem. And if I, you know, on a day where I have freedom, I'll have 2-3 coffees. Like I love it. I love it. And so when I was still figuring out my anxiety and I didn't put the 2 and 2 together, that caffeine was screwing up my anxiety, making it go a little bit haywire, I would have, you know, 2 coffees on game day. And then we would end up having to stand up on the court for the national anthem. And for that 90 seconds to 2 minutes where I knew I couldn't move, I would start spiraling.
Oh, that's where it just hits you.
And I'm like, I have to stand here. I can't move. It'd be disrespectful if I went and sat down. I was like, and it's 2 minutes long. Like, pull it together, you know?
It's so crazy how simple we can be sometimes about that, though.
It's so stupid. Yeah, and I think a lot of it, too, is like I eat like crap right now. You know, Digorno pizzas, shout out, sponsor me. I'm on social media all day scrolling. Like my attention is so short. I'm you know, drinking caffeine. I'm probably not sleeping the best. You know, I'm not working out. I'm doing all the things that you would want to have anxiety.
Right.
And so I'm going to get it in check in 2020. Let's go.
That's your plan in 2020?
Yeah, 2020. That, and I'm going to try to think before I talk.
Think before you talk,
which I'm not doing good at so far.
Yeah, no, you're doing totally fine here. I have a thing that I wrote on the wall.
Haven't thought once.
That's don't think or don't react. Oh gosh, I'll have to reread it. It's like don't think, react, or maybe the opposite. Don't react, think. probably that sort of thing.
Which one would it be? Don't react, think.
Yeah, because you don't want to react. But although after a while, when you have enough, you're kind of, I like to think that you're training yourself at all times in some ways, you know, every time that you hold your tongue and wait to say something, or every time that you think really quick just for an extra millisecond before you say something, it's, you know, dude, we don't know what we're going to say.
Right.
Like our brains are just saying a bunch of crazy stuff all the time, and we pick it up and just say like, this is what's going to happen out loud. Just stopping to think about it a little bit.
Roots helped me big time with like stopping and thinking before I speak, and stopping and thinking before I post, and like, I mean, big time. And a big shout out to my mom. She's been an educator for 25 plus years. She was really big on like, hey, you're now being looked at differently. Right. You know what I mean? You're not Scott, who's a college athlete. You're now Scott, whose parents are dropping their kids off to you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So you need to be listening to the right music in the gym. You need to, you know, and I knew a lot of these things already, but just having the refresher from her was great. Like, you shouldn't be posting pictures of you holding drinks, you know, you shouldn't, even though I was of age, but like, it's just not the
just don't post them, you know,
just don't post them, you know, and like, just silly things like that. But it helped big time with me, thinking before I speak. I still struggle with it because I like to be the funny guy. And so, you know, the funny guy is never the guy that says the joke 30 seconds late. It's the guy who says it right on time.
Hey, by the way, we were thinking that thing we said earlier. What if I said,
what if when he said porta-potty pizza, then I said, so I struggle with that, and I'm working on it.
Yeah, dude, it's something that, again, like with this podcast, I understand that I kind of have like a hole ripped open for me. Like I'm pretty lucky with like, I don't have, you know, if I can get younger people looking up to me, and Shaylee always says like, what would the 16-year-old you need to hear? And I always keep that in mind. But I'm luckily able to be like super authentic and sometimes brutal, and you know, like, but that's the cool thing about a podcast is not everything that I do, my guests don't represent everything that I do. Like, I can have so many different kinds of people on here.
Right.
and they can be themselves and I can be myself.
Right.
And yeah.
The other side of that too is like now with social media and with, every kid has access to YouTube and everything. They've seen a lot. You know what I mean? Like they're not dumb.
Yeah.
And so you also can't BS them.
Yeah.
It's like I try to be honest with the kids I'm coaching, to an extent. So, like I went to Lewis and Clark College also, and now I'm coaching there. So the college kids, they'll be like, did you go to parties when you were in college?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I was a kid, I was a college kid. I don't have to go into detail about it, but I enjoyed, college and probably did similar things that you guys are doing. Like I understand the world you're living in.
Right. I feel like that helps them connect with you because like it's things that they're really thinking about.
Yeah.
It's not that you're giving them permission just because you did it. You're saying they should do it or whatever. There's of course details when you're talking. It's just like when you're talking to even me when I'm talking to my nephews, like a young kid. There's things I'm gonna withhold from them. But I think just being relatable. I think you're a super relatable person just in general. I can imagine you probably do really well with the kids too. Just being truthful with them.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're truthful with them and they see that you're being honest, like 9 times out of 10, they're gonna believe what you're saying and also respect what you're saying.
Right.
So.
Exactly. Have you had the looming question of kids yet in your head? Like, have you really looked at it yet? Where are you at with it?
I'm really far away from it. Obviously, I'm single and nothing on the horizon. But I would love to have kids. Yeah, ladies.
Hello.
Holler. I'm thinking before I speak this year.
2020 is the year.
Call me.
2021, you're gonna break up. So.
Wait, what?
You're gonna break up with whatever girl you meet in 2020.
Oh, darn it!
You're gonna stop thinking before you speak.
Oh, darn it! Okay, yeah. 2021 is full of fights.
Yeah, it's the opposite.
2020, I'm gonna be a great boyfriend. 2021, I'm just nightmare.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I have a new resolution in 2021. But yeah, I would love to have kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you want kids? Do you have kids?
I have no kids.
Okay.
I have no kids. My mom has a cat. I don't like it that much. It's just here at the house. I did have a hedgehog once.
Really?
I didn't like it that much.
Okay.
It pooped a lot and it ran in its own poop and it just kept running and it's on its wheel and there's just poop everywhere. And I got pink eye from the hedgehog twice. So that seems
like a kid shitty deal.
You would know, porta-potty. No, but it's something I've always been pretty. I didn't realize that I was like this, but now that I'm more, taking a look at why I'm doing things and how I want to live and all these things and changing what I want to change, I would brush off the kid conversation like too quickly. I'm like, no, I don't want to be like, it seems like a waste. I would almost find this a perfect time to joke about how kids fart and they're smelly and they're just slobbering. Like, that's what I would do. But the last year or so, I've been actually looking at the question more and I think I do. Right this second, it's like there's so many things that I haven't fully worked through. Not that you can work through all of them, but either way, it is super cool to allow yourself, like as a man, like as you get to an age, like I was so gung-ho on like I'll never have kids, there's no way. But now I'm like, like let's look at that question. Let's not make that decision and kind of doesn't want to be kind of like we were talking about, like giving yourself, like what could that dream be in 5 years? Like realistically, if you got to give it to yourself.
Yeah, I mean the kids thing for me kind of goes back to like I'm working with kids nonstop and I feel like I'm good at it, and so I feel like I would just be missing out if I didn't have the chance to have my own. Right. You know what I mean? Like I feel like I would be a good dad, and I think I would enjoy it a lot, and I see the joy that my dad gets out of being a dad. And so, I think it would be, now the amount of kids and when it happens, I don't know, but I think at some point I would love to have a kid. Yeah. Do you want to have one?
I think so too.
Should we have one?
I think, okay. All right, how do we, is this a stork? Oh, my clothes.
Transported.
We transported to the same place with clothes off. We've already had all the inappropriate jokes. What was your dad like? Was he, as far as, not even just basketball, but like, were you guys outside like at a young age? Like he's shooting you hoops?
So it kind of interesting. He was 40 when he had me.
Really?
So he's 70 right now.
Oh, incredible.
Yeah. So he's an older dad. So I think I had a unique experience growing up. Like my friends' dads were, probably in their late 20s when they had them. And so when our dads would go to games, my dad would be like 60 and their dads would be like 48, 47.
Different.
But my dad was super wise. He was super kind, very, very kind and compassionate. He loved sports. He wrote for the Daily News for 25 years, was their sports editor. And so he was really into sports. He would take me to all the games and I just loved it. He'd be, he enjoyed doing anything that involved the ball with me. So
awesome.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. He was an amazing dad.
Yeah,
still is, still alive.
Still is. Awesome. So how old is he? He's 70
He's
now?
70. Yeah, he turned 70 in November.
Awesome.
So that's a huge, milestone.
Hey, shout out my fellow Scorpio.
Yeah.
I'm also in November. I just,
nice.
I don't like know a ton about that, but I just like
I was gonna say, yeah. What could I text my dad later and say? Hey, you're this.
say he's a Scorpio as far as.
Should I just say that?
Yeah.
Hey, you're a Scorpio.
Hey, Dad, you're a Scorpio. Okay, son.
And it would probably like change it to Scorpion, and then it'd just all be weird.
Hey, Dad, you're a Scorpion.
And it'd be the emoji.
Did you guys play other sports growing up too? Like,
Yeah, I mean, like I played baseball, basketball, and like I tested like every sport. So football, golf, soccer. Like I taste tested it all. But yeah, my dad was always around for all of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, he loves baseball and basketball. Those were probably like his two favorites.
Yeah, I did. I definitely liked my alone time. I'm definitely I liked hanging out. So like skateboarding, for example, like hanging out with the boys, and like that's not exactly a team. It's not as much structure. I think you learn. So honestly, I think organized sports, like in school, I would rather have my child do that than just, not that I would force them or anything, but I lacked out on a lot of structure by choosing skateboarding over organized sports. But I didn't, just circumstantially, I wasn't able to do sports. But the structure that sports provide to a young kid's brain, I think is really important. I mean, a lot of times we forget, especially from young age, it's like you're teaching a kid how to interact in the world, and you got to teach them a lot of times that what they think is not the exact same thing that Tyler thinks, know? And that's a huge thing that sports can probably teach in a huge way.
Yeah. I actually saw your video about that. I don't know when it was.
Which one?
Maybe like 3 weeks ago, about talking about like, it's crazy that people think that their perspective on the world is going to be the same perspective that some guy in like Afghanistan has on the world. Was that?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. We forget about that. Like
it's crazy.
It's something that like you can say the sentence, but unless you really think about it, it's like, oh yeah, like
why would I expect them to?
Yeah.
Or why should we expect them to?
Right.
Or like even a guy, some woman in Boston. Yeah. How is she going to have the same perspective as some guy that lives in a porta-potty in Portland?
Porta-potty Portland guy.
It's like,
it's completely different perspective. It's completely different lives. Like, and even at that moment, they're going through something differently in there at that stage in their life. I always like the comparison that I use. Did you ever watch the show Vikings? It's sort of newer.
I've seen it, but no, I haven't. I just heard of it. Yeah,
it's badass for one. You should totally watch it. I don't know if you like Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings sort of style. But I actually had it. When I first was thinking about this, I was watching the show, and when the Vikings, pagan religion, I think, whatever they were, when they like came over to. Man, I'm totally like butchering the names. I'm totally brain farting, but England, whatever. These people are like worshiping completely different gods, right? And this is like you came up on a Viking ship onto like castle walls,
right? And
the Vikings, like the Christians, didn't even realize that the Vikings were there to like pilgrimage, like just take them out and take whatever they want, whatever, because they're not even thinking like we have to fight against our lives. Like Vikings, if you came up on their shore, they're going to bust your face. They're ready for it, but the people are living completely different. So, and just the fact that if you really think about different languages, so even this situation, like the Vikings in this situation did not speak the same language, even kind of, as these other people. Like even just the grunts that come out of your mouth are different. Like if that doesn't tell you how different your reality is, like we assume that every argument we're entering in, every discussion we're entering in, that the person is like, you are 100% as logical as me. You learned the same things as me. Yeah. You grew up in the same manner as me. Like you respect the same mannerisms, the body language, you communicate the same body language. It's just so crazy, man. We're so silly sometimes. We forget how different we all are.
It's crazy. I think, some people innately have a good understanding of that and like understand that everyone's going to have different views on things. Mm-hmm. And then I think some people just don't have that in them.
Yeah.
And so, it's tough because it's like, you listen to different podcasts than I do. We're from the general same area of, Longview, Kelso, and like we're around the same age. Right. You read different books than me. You probably listen to different music than me. We had different upbringings. It's like, minus us being from the same little area, everything else is probably different.
Totally.
It's like we have some middle grounds, but we're going to have a lot of different viewpoints on things. And I don't know. It was interesting when I saw your video about that. It was like, I'm surprised more people don't understand this.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Thanks for mentioning it, mentioning and bringing it up. I think it's cool to just reiterate. I like mentioning those things, like even just randomly bringing them up in some sort of way on the podcast. Or I always, I like mentioning little things that pull people out of what they're doing. My buddy Tyler texted me the other day, and he just said like, dude, that thing you do with your left hand in the door handle, I like that. I was like, what are you saying right now? And he's like, on your podcast episode so-and-so. I'm like, oh, I don't remember saying that because it's, even just after 20 episodes, I don't remember totally. But essentially it was like stopping, you're going out your car and you're in the momentum and you get out your car. And like at some point you put your hand on the door handle and you opened it and you performed that function and you got into your car. Like, but if you can just stop at those little moments and like, I'm pulling my door handle open right now. And that's and this is my car. And you just breathe and you're like, I'm outside and that's okay. And this is my life, right? Whatever, just stop what you're doing, all the momentum, and even just having moments like that. So I think pointing out that people are different in certain ways like that, you can almost have those little time stopping momentum of like, don't get caught up in your differences,
right.
We're all just so different.
Right. Yeah, that it is interesting. On a sidebar, while you were talking about that, opening up the car door, it made me think of, have you ever had like a long drive where you don't remember a second of the drive?
Yes.
And you're like, how did I get to Burger King?
Do you ever, every day I black out and I wake up at Burger King. So sometimes I'm like, I'm terrified. Did I kill somebody and I don't remember it within the last 60 minutes? Because I don't remember what I was thinking about in this last 60 minutes.
Where you're just like almost daydreaming. Yeah. Like it's crazy.
It's autopilot. We're in the number I've heard, 95% of our day and our actions are autopilot. Like we trained ourselves to be this way or learn this thing, or, think about it. When we were a kid, we trained ourselves or learned how to walk. And now we don't think about walking. We just walk. We know how it's locked. It's in the background. Breathing.
When you start thinking about breathing, then you like get anxiety. Stop breathing.
Stop breathing completely. Am I done breathing? Well, that's one thing that with a lot of the meditation things, I had long periods of where I'm like, dude, I focusing on your breathing. Okay. But now I'm focusing too much on my breathing and now I'm just controlling my breathing. Yeah. And I would have that so long. But dude, if you tried to stop breathing, you couldn't. Your brain's not going to let you stop breathing. It's one of those things that you'll stress yourself out. But that was just about meditation. But
right. Isn't there also the thing where you like can't break your own arm or something?
I don't know, but that seems to make sense.
Is that bro science? But like I've heard,
break your arm right now. Break your arm right now.
Do it. Do it. Or I heard like your brain won't allow you to like. Maybe I'm off, but you know what? Someone comment below.
Comment below.
Can you break your own arm?
If you have broken your arm, please post a video of it.
Yeah.
On the comment.
Tag us.
Yeah. Scott definitely wants to see it if there's blood. If you had to get any sort of shots afterwards.
Yeah. If there's any ladies out there that broke their arm this year, holler at me.
Oh man, I've seen some terrible videos on Touchpoint now about people breaking their arm.
Man.
Oh, it's terrible. I don't even want to talk about it. It makes me uncomfortable to think about. Hey, I do want to ask.
Yeah.
What y'all listen to at Roots? Like what you did mention, like, oh, we gotta like, you can't just let whatever playlist shuffle all the time at Roots, I'm sure. How has that process been? Like, has the world of today made it easier for you to find music?
Yeah. I mean, super easy. Like, for me, I try to just like get up tempo, like fun music, you know, so I'm trying to like, well, one, if the kids like it, then it's usually, then they're happy. So it's gotta be, most of them want to listen to hip hop that has crazy language in it. So I have to go to the alternative of like, okay, what's like more of your Justin Bieber-ish type music that I can get into. And so anything that's not cussing and not saying like slap your grandma, then, which no one should do.
Should never. Unless she got ran over by a reindeer recently.
Yeah.
She's
you had to wake her up.
And you're like, Grandma, are you okay? And, you
slapping her around.
That's the only situation.
That's the only one. But yeah, so for a while there, I was going Calvin Harris radio on Pandora.
Not bad.
Because it was always like up tempo and usually no cuss words. You know, you got a little Rihanna in there, little JB. I don't know. I usually let the kids do it, but anything up tempo and put a smile on people's faces.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to find.
Do you have any suggestions?
I definitely do. I'm sure I could. I mean, Spotify. Okay, so in the DJ world, let's say Rekordbox, for example. That Rekordbox is a program that it's my DJ crates. It's like back in the day when you had your crates and all the thing. You put it on there, and it organizes them for me. And then so before a gig, my stuff in Rekordbox is slowly being more and more organized. I'm not totally there, but I pull like the songs I want out of that, and I load them into my other program, Tractor, to play live. But so the algorithms, the like AIs and AGIs or whatever that the Rekordbox program has, if I play Rihanna 4 or 5 seconds, that the song, I forget the actual name of it, might be 4 or 5 seconds. But if I play that and it's this tempo and it's this key and it came out in 2017 and it's Rihanna who has tracks with Drake, like all these variables. And the AGIs and the AIs will, I'm just saying it incorrectly, the computer programs will pull up similar songs. It'll suggest tracks that are just like those. Right. So for one, DJs aren't going to have jobs in 2 years because more of that stuff is just coming out. Not exactly, but it kind of is what a DJ does. But it's great because for me, I like mixing. I like mashing up a lot of songs. So a lot of times I can let that thing run and like, oh, I didn't think to play that song, but it's going to sound great. And I could use my skills now to play it live. But anyway, Spotify now has very similar, and a lot of these other apps have very similar suggestions. Okay. So when you go to radio of whatever, it's kind of the same thing that you get from Pandora. Yeah. And then they also have the explicit content, the E, but you got to watch out because of course, it's just because it's a cuss word doesn't mean that it's appropriate to hear for everybody. Right.
Yeah, that's a funny one. But I mean, the parents are cool. Like 9 times out of 10, I'm just running over to turn it down or change the song. But they're like laughing. You know, they're not too worried about it.
Yeah, it's a lot of work to like handle all the music stuff. Like you're not there to handle all that. Like,
no, I'm not. I'm not there to have it
DJ, on. Yeah. I can text me, man. I can give you a few playlists or something. But don't underestimate the suggestions on Spotify or even just searching things like high school friendly hip hop or something like that. It's not always gonna be it can be hit and miss because people can add their own playlists, but it's getting to be pretty broad and their algorithm stuff is.
That is cool. Yeah. It's interesting you talking about like the AI and like how it's like kind of taking over a lot of like the grunt work almost, but allowing you to still do the fun part.
It's cool. Yeah. I was discouraged at first. I mean, I was thinking about like getting rid of DJ. I was just like not loving DJing every weekend in the clubs and stuff. And so I was just like kind of meh. But now that I've spent so much more time organizing and being able to like get back to like, okay, the craft, I do love mixing and just like playing songs that don't usually go together and finding a cool way to make them enjoyable as like a whole hour-long set or whatever it is. So, but yeah, dude, it's interesting to think. I was watching this morning, I was grabbing a sample clip from Jim Morrison. He was predicting in like the 80s or the 70s or something. He was basically saying like, I think that the future of music is going to be less band members and more of like one person on stage playing an electronic tape. Like he was predicting DJs and stuff. Essentially, it's this cool clip. Yeah, but I kind of wonder, I have my own areas where I want to push just as an artist in the community of DJing. I want to push my boundaries as a DJ, but I'm kind of interested to see where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Like
That will be interesting with, are you talking about like with technology?
Yeah, with the technology.
Yeah.
Like how can we make DJs still like good and enjoyable, and like, you know, it's an hour, however long you're going to go see them, it's enjoyable. But now they have this like badass robot standing next to them. Essentially,
Right.
their machine is 10 times better in every way. So it's super exciting.
Yeah, the world is going to be an interesting place in 10 years,
Right.
let alone like 20 years, 30 years.
Yeah. Have you learned about any of the like biohacking or any of that stuff like in your world as far as sports and,
Right.
and the athletic world and technology? Is there anything?
Are you talking about like even like, like gut health and like
Any of that? Yes, exactly.
Okay.
The information, the technology that's improving all of these things.
Yeah, I mean, not like at my level, we're not like that in depth, but,
course.
I read articles like I read last year, LeBron spent $1 million on his body alone.
Wow.
And so I'd love to find out what that $1 million entails.
Right.
But I would imagine he's doing whatever the best is out there. And,
Right.
yeah, I mean, like the gut health stuff, I always hear about different people on Joe Rogan and, the different podcasts that I listen to, just talking about how like your gut health could even be, linked to depression. It could be linked to anxiety. It could be linked to cancer. It could be linked to a million different things.
Certainly.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that I'm curious about as far as like health and body.
Right.
Who knows who's doing what right and what we should really be doing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's anyone's guess at this point.
I know I think it's probably because I'm a little bit of a guinea pigger myself. I definitely am like, I'm the first one to like when someone's like, oh, is that CBD going to make you high? I'm like, I don't take the whole vial. Let's find out. Like, that's not like the best example of how I go about things.
Do you take CBD?
I do. Yes. Yeah.
I'd love to get into that in a second.
Cool. Yeah. Well, let's just go that way.
Okay.
So CBD, I don't know a ton about it. I have a couple homies who, in the marijuana world, they know quite a bit about that and how it relates. Cause I want to be able to explain 30 minutes of like someone who knows nothing about CBD, 30 minutes later, they know whatever they need to know. There's plenty of that on YouTube. So definitely look it up. But I do have a friend who I'm going to have come in and talk about CBD. But for me, it's hard to explain what it does because it's not like you put the drop on your tongue and you just suddenly don't have anxiety or you feel like, oh, I don't want to move or anything. CBD, as long as it's not the THC tincture,
Right.
which is like directly from it, it still has THC in it. Don't know exactly again, but it doesn't get you high. It doesn't get you
Right.
stoned.
It's not psychoactive.
It's not psychoactive. It seems to, it gives you, okay, so something bad happens, it's kind of the same thing that meditation does, I would say. Something bad happens and you have your initial reaction of your reaction right back to it. It's like it gives you a little bit more room in between that time. A little more of, it's not that you don't care. It's difficult to describe it in this way, I'm
Right.
sure. It's not that you don't care, but it's less reactive. It's something that I think you could take CBD for 10 days. And within the 10 days, you'd probably be like, I don't know that I noticed that much. But then if you're kind of looking back on the 14th day, you're like, how am I different than 10 days ago or 14 days ago? You would notice a difference. And I know that seems like a terrible, weird
No, I think
example,
that's
but
pretty cool. I've taken it a few times in drop form.
Mhm.
I think I was getting into it because of anxiety.
Okay.
I think I was like, that's why I was like, let me see if this helps. And then I did a few chewies. And I didn't do it long enough, or like, I would do it like one day and forget like in the next 3 days. And so I needed to like actually get back on it and try it.
Right.
But the one person that I've heard, swears by it for their kid is Brendan Schaub, who's on The Fighter and the Kid.
All right.
His kid had was struggling with seizures.
Yeah.
And so he got him on CBD and he hasn't had a seizure since.
That's so crazy.
And so now he's actually sponsored by a CBD company and he swears by it. I forget what company it is, but I am intrigued by it. I think, I know that people have even used it for cancer type issues. I would love to know more of what it really does and who should be taking it and how you take it and, you know, all of that.
Fantastic. Yeah, dude. Me
I'll
too.
listen to your podcast.
Yeah, I'll definitely let you know when I have that one. Because I want to. I know like a little bit of here's and there's, but I don't want to like miscalculate what I'm saying and try to be like too soon. I'm not a know-it-all about the CBD. I do know that my personal use, like the weather outside today has been a little rough, and the weather seems to get me depression wise, and so I have been. So what I do is when I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a little more low today, I'll take extra CBD, or I will take CBD. So I don't really follow like an exact regime. It's kind of like as I feel it, or if I'm like, today's feeling a little rough, I woke up kind of like my brain's a little scattered, whatever. And for me, I'm a little hippie with a lot of the things I do, but I'm very much like, as I'm dropping that, like try not to do it as you're running out the door sort of thing, like stop and like, what's the intent here? You know, like I don't know if this is going to be a magical thing when it touches my tongue. I'm not expecting it to be, but I'm wanting this to help, the intention for this to help. The reason why I'm dropping this on my tongue is this, I really believe in that, like, you know, the forced placebo, whatever you want to call it. Like, tell your brain why you're doing it. I don't know. It seems to help, man. It seems to help, and it's not super expensive, and there's no negative side effects. It doesn't give me the shits. It doesn't taste terrible. I think it's worth anybody trying. Yeah. But definitely we should learn more about it.
What you just said, I'm curious also about with that in food, which is the way that you eat food, where like if you're like intentional about it and thinking about what you want it to do to your body. I feel, and this could be total like nonsense, but I feel like when I actually think about what I'm eating and what I need it to do for my body, I feel better about it.
Absolutely.
And my body takes it in better.
Yes.
Which is that a thing?
I think it's totally a thing.
Dr. Jake, is that a thing?
It is, yes. According to the millions of YouTube videos that I watch.
Have you thought that?
Like intentionality when you're eating?
Yeah, and just like, because you were saying like Certainly. You don't take CBD running out the door. Like, I feel like when I'm on the go and I eat my DiGiorno pizza while running, then it goes down differently than if I sit down and praise it. And
dude, it's a real thing, you know. I like to look at like rituals and like what are like throwing out baby with the bathwater with like rituals and religions and stuff. A lot of that stuff is dogma and weird and whatever. But like I like little things like, what about the people, Jehovah's Witness, for example? I think they're the ones that they say, name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit, amen. And they have a small prayer before they eat. Yes, that's like within their religion, like that's they're praising for their God. But I think that just the way that our bodies work, setting that intention of like, you know what? I am thankful for this food. I'm thinking about this video game that I was just playing. I'm thinking about this article I was just reading. The momentum that sometimes we sit down at dinner with is a million thoughts, and just stopping and like, you know, whether it's a prayer or whatever people have before they eat, it's just setting that intention. It's got to mean something. And it's, again, like all like the YouTube holistic psychologists that I learn about, it seems like the placebo we brush off. It's that we're like, oh, that's just a placebo. I don't know though. And it's like, wait, but it worked. Like it helped. It helped even 0.05% help. Do it, man. Do it. Makes your life a little better. Like, does it make your life worse to stop and try to like, you know what? Let's just think a good thought for 10 seconds on purpose, even if it feels dorky and fake and whatever. But also, sometimes you got to run out the door and eat DiGiorno's pizza because DiGiorno's is fucking delicious.
On the run. What YouTube dives have you been into lately? What's like what's in your search?
Okay, so I actually starting on Whole30. I have been on like a YouTube break, and a YouTube break. I still use YouTube because like, so when I play piano, for example, I like to have like sounds of waterfall in the background, like nature sounds or something. So I use it in small instances like that, or like I need to watch a tutorial on this audio thing. So I pulled up, but I get pretty lost in the just searching YouTube and like letting the algorithm suggest me something.
That's good.
Dude, they know me so well.
They know you so well.
But there's a guy called Leo Gura, actualize.net. He explains a lot of like very in-depth, like Buddhism / neuroscience, meditation stuff. I like a lot of like theory and philosophy and like holistic psychology. And I do admittedly, something that I spend a lot of time on is people who channel. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but people who, I'm not saying that I fully believe or stand by them or know exactly what's going on, but it enthralls me. I'm so interested by it because the information they say, but it's these people who like, they're like, I channel Ra from the planet, blah, blah, blah. And they're like normal people.
Mm-hmm.
And you watch them on YouTube and they have whole conventions and they'll like kind of change their voice and they'll essentially channel like some thing. And they'll say like what they're saying, if you wrote it down in like a book, it's like, oh, this is great information. This is like how people deal with their emotions and it's great advice.
Right.
I admittedly I watch a lot of that stuff, but not because I'm like, I believe this to be 100% true,
Mm-hmm.
but because I'm able to get the information I need out of it without the judgment. Like it's just, it's interesting. It strikes me as very intriguing to think that like, I don't really know for sure, but maybe these people are experiencing that.
Right.
So yeah, the channeling entities, that's like my most like the deep dive of Jake on YouTube, where if it's like, what is he watching? And it's me, it's just like this old lady who's like, I'm Karen, but I'm going to channel the 3 so-and-sos. And she's like, but it's like, then she'll say like 10 minutes of like, as if she's reading from like Buddhism text of like compassion about humans.
Right.
And it'll be like, whoa, that is profound. Whatever character you might have just made up to get that point across is amazing.
Worked.
And I love learning about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at with YouTube. Where are you at? What do you like to have?
You know what I've been really enjoying to watch is, how would I word this? It's videos of people impersonating cops. So they're pretending they're a cop. And
actually, like they're pulling people over?
Yeah, this is like police footage of these people getting arrested.
Oh, wow.
And so these people, like the last one I watched was this young guy who, this was like his 3rd time being arrested for this, but he got a car that looks similar to a cop car, purchased lights, online, got a fake badge. He looks like a cop, police officer. And he pulls over people speeding and gives them fake tickets. And so he's doing this. Meanwhile, a real cop drives up and he's well known. He's been arrested like 3 times for doing this. And he's like, what are you doing? And so I've been watching that. There's like a whole group of people in the world that do this.
How serious is it? Is it like, do they like try to run? Like
they don't run. They just get arrested usually. For whatever reason, they have this weird, fixation of wanting to be a cop or a firefighter
that's a weird,
but they don't pursue it, I guess. Or maybe
they failed the test or
maybe
something.
They failed. And so now this is the best way they can do it. But it's interesting. You should check it out.
What do you search on? What is it?
I don't even know how it popped out, but it got into my algorithm.
The algorithms, I love them.
I just clicked on the next 80 videos I saw.
Yes. Dude, there's a lot of that's like vastly unhealthy because it's in certain ways, but honestly, a lot of it just allowing all this data to figure out what you like and kind of like suggest to you, like, I mean, you don't want to waste your time totally, but life is, the internet's a wonderful thing and entertainment is awesome. So
it knows me well at this point.
Yeah. What else does it add?
YouTube's my favorite by far. Like I like YouTube more than Netflix, more than, I don't even have a TV or cable. Hulu.
Do you have room for those in your portable?
No. Yeah. I mean, it's like me, my bed, my toilet, and my little laptop.
You should put like do you have a pop socket on your phone?
Yeah.
You should put like one of those little pop socket holders on the wall.
Oh, nice. So it'd be right there. Yeah. Because it'd be close enough to where it like look like a TV almost. You
have a string hanging down. You're laying in bed. It's just above you.
It's going back and forth with the fan. Yeah. But yeah, I love YouTube. My college basketball team that I coach, they make fun of me nonstop. They're like, "What are you watching on YouTube tonight?"
What are you watching today, nerd?
Yeah, nerd.
What else do you catch yourself on YouTube? Like, what? I
watch a ton of podcasts. So I really enjoy watching podcasts. I'm fascinated by interviews. So like back in the day, I was fascinated by like Howard Stern or like Larry King, or I'd listen to like radio shows, and then it transformed into podcasts, which I think podcasts are to me, it's like it was invented for me. You know, it's like,
dude, same.
It's so cool. I love podcasts. I'm shocked that they're free. I'm shocked that they create the amount that they do, that are so well done.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of podcasts. So I watch a ton of podcasts on YouTube. What else do I watch? I'm really like interested by fighters. So I watch a lot of UFC stuff. I don't know anything about it, but I just think that like the work that they put in and the way that they like take care of their bodies and just the fact that they want to get in a ring and duel it out with another professional fighter is nuts.
That's so crazy. We were talking about, I think we kind of shared like we're not super competitive, at least like versus other people.
Right.
In those like, that's almost like some of them do have a very competitive like me versus you, and that's how they like fight really well, and I think they do it to their advantage. But there's a lot of those guys that I think that it's this like way of Zen, like I respect you because you pushed yourself as a person to like the best of your ability, and I did the same thing. So it's really, let's just actually see who, like I've shaped myself up to be the best person I could be, and you did the same. So this is a really good fight. Like it's a very enthralling, exciting thing.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think a lot of these guys are probably more, you know, like their temperament is probably more even than even the average person. Like I think if, you know, like average Joe was at a bar and then, well, maybe not Conor McGregor. He's a bad example because he gets arrested all the time for punching people. But maybe Cowboy Cerrone, you know, if he's at a bar with some average Joe, if a fight broke out, the average Joe is just as likely to get into that fight as the UFC fighter. The UFC fighter is not only well trained, but they also have like a respect for, you know, fighting in general. It's not like something they show off. It's like it's like something. It's almost like them. It'd be like the equivalent of like someone who is really, really good at like playing the drums. It's like they're not just going to go around slapping every little object they see just to hear a noise. They're going to perform when it's time to perform. Exactly. They want to be in front of people that respect it. And so I don't know. I think that fighters are fascinating people. I think they have a screw loose to want to get into the ring, and but they're also brilliant. And so that like dichotomy is interesting to me. Yeah,
dude, they fascinate me too. I'm totally. I have a couple friends who have been into like Brazilian jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai and stuff lately, just as beginners. And they say like, well, I absolutely love it, and it's something that eventually I want to get into. I really enjoy my alone time when it comes to workout in gyms and stuff. But eventually, I would love to learn to like. I don't know if I really want to fight anybody, but it'd be
cool just to know though that you could like, if someone put their hands on you, you knew what you were doing.
You know, I've always had this like my upbringing has always part of my ego armor. Like one of my like main weapons of ego was like whatever I can do to make sure that like my chest is puffed out to where I want to be nice, but people won't fight me also because this sort of, it's like a weird thing.
Right.
But it, you know, I've seen plenty of fights. I've been in plenty of fights growing up.
You've been in fights?
I've been in plenty of fights. Wow. Yeah. I've actually had, I've been knocked unconscious at my own event.
Wow.
Yeah. I'll tell that story.
Okay.
That's all. Okay. That's a fun one. Not a fun one, but essentially, I've mentioned these on here before. I used to throw like illegal renegade raves in the woods.
I remember these actually.
Yeah. Did you ever go to them?
I didn't. Okay. It wasn't my scene at the time. I was probably dribbling a ball somewhere.
Yeah. You're probably working on things. But essentially towards the end of the night, people just super hammered. It turned into like people who weren't there for the music and like the little secret scene that we had going on. It was people there who heard about it, who were there to fight. Literally, like they were, when the fights broke out, it was like this like crazy brawl. Like, what's that movie where he's like Stay Golden Pony Boy, The Outsiders? Do you remember that movie?
No, but
dang,
I'm shaking my head. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, so it's one of these crazy movie scenes. Essentially, people are just like throwing punches and stuff. I was just trying to. I've always been like strong. I don't want to hurt people, but my go-to move is like choke people out. Little did I know I was choking people out totally in the worst way, and it was terrible. But
really,
I've learned how to choke people out differently now.
You were doing it in a dangerous way,
like cutting off their
like
airflow.
They could have died.
Probably, yes, absolutely.
Are they dead?
They didn't die. But I choked out one guy, went down to the ground, and his friend saw from afar and running kicked me in the face as we were on the ground. And then we went to the hospital and stuff afterwards. And I was fine. It was no got the MRI or whatever it was. But anyway, fights are crazy though. So here's what I was going to round about fights is if when you look at fights, when you see fights, especially when you're not in them, like so even at that night, I was even drinking and stuff. Like I wasn't like, I'm not some badass in this story by any means. When you see fights as a whole, especially when it's like drunk people at a bar, at a rave, or at some like event, it's just a bunch of dummies, man. Like it's people who don't know how to fight. It's people who are like, it's not so different, so far from the UFC thing that you see. Like even, sometimes we see on World Star, like these dudes just out in the street, just slugging each other. Like those are fighters, man. Like they're not UFC fighters, but those are not even half as, in real life, a fight is just dumb people doing dumb things who have no idea how to fight, and their punches aren't landing correctly, and people are hurting their own selves with their own hands, and it's just so silly. It's I saw this video once, and it generally changed, like because that was always my move, is like I'm strong, so I'm gonna go for the biggest guy and try to choke him out. That's weird mentality. But even that, like I saw this video once of this bar fight. This dude was just trying to end it, and so he picks up a dude and he just slams him. But the dude who he picked up landed on his neck and he broke his neck. And this is like some 10-second clip of a bar fight. I'm like, dude, this guy just went to prison forever, likely because he paralyzed or killed a guy or whatever. So fights. So that fighting is not even compared in the same field to Muay Thai, which is like doing UFC, and like, dude, those men are just art. It's an art form.
It's an art form. Yeah, you're exactly right. Growing up, fighting would make my stomach hurt when I would see it. Like at school there was always fights, and so walking down the hallway, all of a sudden 2 guys are squaring up and they're about to fist fight. I would just instantly get like, oh, I'm about to get sick. Like this is not my world.
It's weird, right?
It's so weird, and I don't
think you're alone with that feeling. I think it's so many people get that feeling.
Yeah. So I've never been in a fight though, so I don't know like what it feels like to get punched in the face.
It's funny. Like if I was having the same conversation talking about like fights that I've been in, if I was having the same conversation like 3 years ago, I would have said like, yeah, they were stupid, but I probably would have bragged a little more. Yeah. But realistically looking at I'm a 28-year-old man, all the fights I've been in, they weren't cool fights. They weren't like worth it. They were all like over the dumbest things that I wish I wasn't involved. I'm never like an antagonist. You like your stomach hurts when you see fights for some reason. Not saying it's a great trait, but I'm in it. I'm like, I could be the one to help these people, and I could convince them that they don't need to fight. Yeah. And so I get myself involved, and I don't do it as much anymore. But it's a weird thing. Like it's weird that and we all have different reactions with public events like that. But that feeling that when you're like, wait, someone's fighting, is crazy, man. Like it's like, whoa. It's
oh yeah. I mean, people are drawn to it for sure. I mean, like if you're at a public event and there's a fight, people don't like scatter. They like go, oh, there's a fight. Let's run over there and watch.
We're so enthralled. We're so focused on it. We think it's so cool, but it's not cool. Like the party fights anyway. Like the fights at clubs and bars, and I've seen a lot of security guards take out dudes.
Oh, I bet.
And I've seen the way things work when you're the drunk one and you are in the wrong, like you get to a point where like, bouncers are calm dudes, but like they'll fuck you up. And I've seen people get like,
they're big dudes usually. Yeah. Big dudes and they're sober usually. Yeah,
right. And they'll take a lot, but there's sometimes where I've seen like, I'm like, dude, you're going to get beat up. And then the guy got beat up. So, but yeah, fighting though, it is so different. It's like night and day compared to like UFC versus.
Yeah. I'm really intrigued by Conor McGregor. I just think he's like a fascinating person.
Right.
And so just like watching him train and watching him, like the UFC before every like big pay-per-view event, they have like, I think it's called UFC Embedded on YouTube. And it's like they follow the fighters leading up to the fight for like 2 weeks or whatever. Right. And it's just a bunch of behind the scenes stuff.
I totally haven't watched that. I might want to check that out.
Yeah, it's cool.
Didn't they did Connor has a fight coming up?
He fought last night.
Oh shit. How'd he go?
He won in 40 seconds.
Oh damn. Who did he fight? Can you give me
Cowboy.
Oh,
Cowboy
okay.
Cerrone.
Okay, totally.
And he knocked him out in 40 seconds. It was nuts. I just saw it on Twitter, but
oh man, I totally want to. I mean, it's only 40 seconds. So I can find it quickly.
It was weird too. I know nothing about fighting, but what I had never seen before was Connor. So that he runs out like a spider monkey, jumps and tries to like knee him in the first second, and Cowboy kind of like takes it, hits him in the shoulder, and they start like almost like getting in a clinch, and Connor uses his left shoulder in the clinch and just starts ramming it up into Cowboy's nose and shatters Cowboy's nose by doing this like 3 times. And I'd never seen that before.
Like shrugging and hitting
like a really hard shrug. And so there's a bunch of memes going around now of like this kid who's like doing this weird like shoulder dance, and they're saying it's Connor. But Cowboy said after the fight, he's like, yeah, when he was doing that left shoulder thing, he broke my nose within like 5 seconds.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. So then
try fighting with your nose broken.
Yeah. So he's gushing blood, and then Connor hits him with a leg kick in the head, and that like rattles him, and then basically just beats him up for 20 more seconds. Dang,
I can't. I'm gonna rewatch that.
Yeah.
Dude, Conor McGregor. I really like him. I actually have a lot of homies who idolize him. And I am so with a lot of people. I get a lot of his arrogant side, but I think that if you get too caught up on his what you might call ego,
right,
I think you miss out on what's really going on. I think that he has turned his ego into a lion that walks next to him, and he's the master of it. I think that cool. he has figured out how the human brain works more than a lot of us have. It comes across as cocky, of course, right? But I don't know a ton about him though. I just listen to him, like a lot of his clips. I like motivational videos on YouTube. Like in the morning, I'll like mix with like music and Tony Robbins and Les Brown and all this stuff. But so he's in there all the time, and
he's fascinating.
He's so great.
He, what was interesting is the last like 2 years, I think probably he's been getting in a lot of trouble outside of his sport. He's been getting arrested left and right for fighting at bars, and a cameraman walks up to him, asking him a question, he'll slap the camera out of their hand and break the camera. Right. Just stupid stuff. And he said that in the past week or two, like during his interviews leading up to this fight, he said like even right before his last couple fights, he was drinking like the week of the fight, like just not like doing things that guys who are risking their life should be doing.
Right.
And so he said like leading up to this fight, he cut out all drinking. He never missed a workout. He was really, really focused. And his whole persona was so different. Like at the presser where two fighters like both get weighed to make sure they're on weight, and they go up against each other so they can take photos like holding their fists up. Normally that's like a really edgy, like, fiery situation. Right. It was really chill. He shook his hand, put his fists up. They did another handshake. They left. At the fight, when he knocked him out, runs over to him, kisses him on the forehead. The Cowboy's grandma comes in the ring. Connor goes and hugs the guy's grandma. He was like really, really respectful.
Wow.
He's done a full 180 from the last time I'd seen him. So I'm interested to see what plays out.
Right, dude, that's so cool. I'm always like on my Facebook and on my social medias, I'm always very loud, like, kind of, I read a lot of Jordan Peterson, if you've heard of him. Very much, what's he say? Like, pick up the heaviest object you can and run with it.
Right.
I really like encouraging people to find their idols, find their mentors, find their teachers, find their coaches, whatever. I think it's so cool. I think more younger people idolize Conor McGregor. And I think that it's just cool to explain like our perceptions of him, because I get how the media portrays him and how a lot of times he does seem like this cocky person and all these things. But I think there's a lot of benefit to like kids using that same momentum where they can. Like sometimes we need a little bit of a blind dream or a blind like vision of like, I can do it.
There's no way that he'd be where he was if he was not a little bit cocky. Right. You know what I mean? Or like you almost have to trick yourself if you're a nobody in Ireland and you want to become world champion,
Yeah,
you have to, no one else is going to tell you that.
Right.
You gotta trick yourself. So he tricked himself. Then he probably went a little too far, got into some trouble because his mindset was maybe a little too over the deep edge or deep end. And now he's kind of reeled it back to where he's in that like safe space again. But he's a fascinating guy, and I think he's number one as far as entertainment goes, and like being able to sell a fight. And I mean, he has his Irish whiskey now, Proper 12, that is making millions and millions of dollars. He's a fascinating guy. Jordan Peterson, by the way, carnivore diet.
Oh yeah. Have you ever tried the carnivore diet?
I haven't, but Rogan's doing it right now.
He is. I heard him mention it on something, but I haven't consumed a ton of Joe lately. Have you? Yeah. Has he said like how it's been going for him?
Yeah, he said he feels phenomenal, but he has explosive diarrhea.
Oh wow.
Yeah, like he said,
because veggies help you. Is it fiber in veggies?
He was saying that he thinks he's getting the diarrhea because I'm sure that people are so fascinated by this, but he thinks he's getting the diarrhea because his body's like trying to figure out what he's doing. It's like, oh crap, where's all the carbs? Right. And so normally he would have. I'm probably saying this all wrong, but his body would break down the food differently. And so now that he's just carnivore, just meat, his body doesn't know what to do with it.
Right.
So he said, but he said the one big thing that he's really loving is there's no drop off in energy throughout the day. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I could see that. I'm trying to think because I would love to try carnivore. I like 30-day things. I love exploring to see what my body does. I'm very in tune with my mind and body now. So I'm weird sentence, I know, but I'm like, oh, okay, that goes well with me. That doesn't go well with me. I'm not going to have it anymore. I want the best for my body. So Whole30 is very great. My mental focus, and I don't have any sort of crashes. My stomach is totally fine. But I think a lot of us, he was saying, I know it's a little lucky to talk about poop, but it's a real thing we all have. He was saying he had diarrhea. I think that so many people, when they dramatically switch their diet, like the first few days, your body does this crazy detox thing.
Yeah.
Like on Whole30, they talk about, they have every single day, you can go to like her Instagram or in the book or all these places, and she'll be like, day 2, here's what you're going to be feeling. And it's like this exclamation. You're like, dude, I feel that. And yeah, my head hurts and whatever. When we eliminate these things that we've been used to having since we were kids, man, like down to the formula, down to the packaged apples, the fruit snacks, the drinks, like everything that we've always been having in the Western world is full of like sugar and all these added things. So I think that anybody's body reacts pretty crazy the first few days, whether it's the first couple weeks or whatever. But I think that getting through that when it comes to like the diets is important. Like not letting that be like, dude, my body's all out of whack. Something's wrong here.
Right.
It's more like it's going to suck for a couple days at the beginning, or maybe it's a couple weeks, or maybe you have explosive diarrhea and you're just pooping meat, whatever's happening with him. But getting through that first, like that draining period, that getting it out, you've been doing it for a while. So.
Right. I think he's doing a month. I think he's doing a month. And he's gonna like check it out. But what I was actually gonna ask you this earlier. What setup in your life makes your body feel the best? Like sleep, food, anything, exercising, anything in that world. What if you wanted your body to feel the best for a week, what would you do? And
okay, so I'll give I'm doing pretty good right now, so I'll talk about like my like ideal schedule sort of as it goes. Waking up, so I usually go to sleep, I try to go before midnight. And so there's intentionality there. So I'm not just going to cover food here. So intentionality with sleep of like, if I tell myself I need to go to bed before midnight because I'm waking up at a certain time, it's not like, I want to finish 30 more minutes of this show. So I'm stern on my sleep. So I start with that. I don't lay on my phone in my bedroom.
You ever mess up?
Yeah. All day. Every day.
Good.
Yeah.
No doubt. You made it sound like you had it like on.
Oh no. Okay. No. I don't have it on lock.
Okay, good.
Okay, so but my ideal day, I want to start it with the night. So
yeah,
I would say, again, I do have a dreamy, cushy life up here, and I don't really have to interact with the outside world except for when I'm like traveling for tour for audio engineer stuff. So like I can have 5 days where I literally don't talk to anybody if I don't have podcasts scheduled. So I'm pretty spoiled. Like I can have like a very exact, I don't have to have Tupperware with me and all these diet things. But so I wake up and I fast pretty much every day. Fasting seems to work for me really well. I do intermittent fasting. So I stop eating at like 10 or 11 at night, whatever. And then I just add 12 to 14 hours the next day. Like sometimes if it's just like 12 and a half or 13 hours and I'm like pretty hungry and it's starting to make me lose focus, I'll eat, but usually 12, 14, 16 hour fast. I'm not a Nazi about it. I'm just like whatever I feel good about. So then I eat, I break my fast with like meal today. I had steak, hash browns, and bacon. I meditate in the morning and I do yoga. That keeps me feeling pretty chi. My daily meditations, I usually do 10 minutes is my minimum, but I don't push that too often. I'm not like, oh, I need to make sure I try to get 20 or 30, but 10 minutes is fine. Like sometimes I just get 10 minutes for 10 days in a row, you know? So wake up, meditate.
Do you use an app?
I use an app. I primarily use Waking Up by Sam Harris. Okay. And that's not advanced. Advanced is not the word I want to use at all, but I think for if anybody who hasn't done any meditation or you want to form a habit, it's great. Actually, you know what? I want to back up. It is a great app all around. I would actually suggest it to most people because it teaches you a lot about, like you can listen to lessons on it. Like he'll talk for 22 minutes about the subjects or about meditation, or he has like other meditation teachers come on. He has 2-hour long conversations with them. So those are on the app. But I use so 10 minutes a day on the app. And then me personally, just because again, I have the most amazing life and I work really well when I smoke. So then I smoke after I meditate and usually do some yoga.
Ideally?
Before 8 a.m.
Okay.
Before 8 a.m. And then so for me, as long as I'm able to be creative and I'm like, again, I'm not like doing something that needs to be super corporate and I need to like have some sort of like video call meeting at like 10 a.m. or something. But so for me, I'll smoke after I meditate. And then.
Are we talking a joint?
I smoke out of a bong. Yeah.
Okay.
Smoke weed. Yeah. Yeah. That's what I was talking about. And then
smoke a cigar.
I smoke a cigar 8 a.m. I mean, it sounds weird to smoke weed at 8 a.m. Really,
cigar and
people,
Pepsi and
yeah, a crack of
King.
Pepsi. Essentially, fasting Whole30, so kind of a more paleo diet.
Yeah.
Daily meditation, daily yoga, and then honestly, I'm very, very much a believer of the content you feed yourself is how you feel too. Like, and I'm talking content like. If there's people in your life that are like leechy and they text you every day, or in leechy, I mean, just not leechy, let's say like negative, or they're just sharing like drama, news,
like gossip,
you know, those, I'm very like, you know, fucking slicing. I'm just like trying to get that negativity away from me. Don't come at me. So, and then, yeah, essentially, I feel like those are like the huge things. I guess I didn't summarize that too well, but lift weights. So as far as my workout plan, my yoga is a lot of like, I'll be working for an hour and I'll get up and like still be listening to whatever I'm doing. And I'll be like stretching and doing kind of like freestyle yoga. I'll lay out my mat right there for like 5-10 minutes. And I'll do that a couple times throughout the day. Some days I'll have like a 30-minute session. And for that yoga, I'm not like a super professional yoga person. I'm not like amazing at all the poses. I just pull up something on YouTube and follow it. Right. Yoga with Adrienne. It's like, she's super great. She has 30-day yoga things that are, she has 30-day yoga things that you can follow. As far as I'll show you on the way outside, I shoot a couple basketball hoops fairly often just to like get active. But I have a gym outside too, just in the garage. I've got a weight bench out there. I'm really big on pull up and hang. I don't know. There's a lot of like back work that I feel like I neglected doing. I've just been like always working out and stuff since high school. So a lot of like hangs and pull up stuff I enjoy. Seems to like really stretch me out. Right. I do some in my backyard. I do some high intensity interval training. My ideal workout, I'll end with this. My ideal workout when I'm like feeling shitty and I need to get better and I need to like, this is my, like, let's say put my superhero cape on,
Right.
like get in check. I'm not having a great day, but let's push this shit out.
Yeah.
Go outside and I put on some sort of motivational thing and I'll do 15 minutes of yoga, stretching, movement around. And then as soon as that 15 minutes is over, I go on to the next of 4 things. So I'll do either weightlifting right there for 15 minutes. So like just curls, bench, pull-ups, just movement, 15 minutes, motivational on, or high intensity interval training, which I'll do like 5 back and forth in the backyard. And that is kind of like, you have 15 minutes here to, like get these 5 back and forths done.
Things done.
So yeah. And then the last thing usually is some sort of fun, like basketball is usually like, but it'll be one of those, like you can't stop moving for 15 minutes at all. So that's kind of like my really fun, normal life person workout, those 4 things.
Right.
What about you, man?
That's good.
What's your, like not that you're saying you're living it every single day, or anything, but what would you say, like ideally, if you're
if I wanted my brain and body to feel nice, I would the night before probably fall asleep at 11 p.m., which is very rare. And before bed, maybe from 10:15 to 11, I wouldn't have any electronics going, no laptop, no Instagram, which is 99% rare.
It's next to impossible.
But I would read. It would be ideal. If I was a smart person, I would do that every night. And then I'd wake up early, probably 7 a.m. So that'd be a good 8 hours there. That'd be perfect. I'd be feeling good. I'd have a cup of coffee, wouldn't eat. I would do the same thing, intermittent fast till about probably about noon. I'd probably pick up basketball somewhere in there. So probably like 8:30 a.m. I'd play pickup basketball just to get a good sweat. I'd have a good salad for lunch with all the fixins.
All the fixins.
Yeah.
Would you put a Digornos pizza on the salad? Or
not if I wanted to be happy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Not if I liked myself.
Yeah, not if I liked myself. I do like all the little toppings on a salad. You know, like all the stuff that you wouldn't buy at a store, but you would get at a salad bar.
Right.
You know, that's what I want.
Put it on. Try it.
Yeah, all of it. Then I would do something creative. I feel like that is when I'm happiest. So I would be doing, you know, and for me, creative could be coming up with a new basketball play that I want my team to run. That would fill that creative juice for me. And so do something creative for like the next couple hours. Then I would coach a team. I get a lot of the joy out of that. And I think it allows me to get a lot of my creative juices out also. And so 2-hour practice there. If I was trying to feel good, I would have a weightlifting session after that. And I like short, so I would go in for 30 to 40 minutes.
I'm about that. Yeah.
I'm all about short workouts. And then a really good dinner, maybe like I honestly do feel good when I'm eating like a steak and some vegetables and you know, a glass of water and some fruit. And then entertainment or fun at night. I like a lot of alone time, so I'd probably watch YouTube or some movies at night.
Whatever YouTube suggests for you.
Whatever. Yeah, cop impersonations.
Yeah. Yeah. Whoever is impersonating the cop, whatever state, that's who I'm going to watch that night.
I do like alone time though, which is weird because like as a coach, you're rarely alone on the job, but you said you like alone time also. I feel like it's for me, it's the only way I can like decompress and like get my energy back.
Yeah, it's a lot of recharging is a good word. You know, the introvert personality type, that's kind of a lot of the defining factors is like, just because you can be an extrovert and just because you're great at people doesn't mean that like when you get behind closed doors, it's not this like, man, let's get a little rest, you know?
Which is funny because you're a DJ, you know what I mean? And so you're like the life of the party.
Yeah.
And I'm a coach, so I'm surrounded by a team.
You're the life of the party too.
And then when we go home, we like being alone.
Right. Yeah. And it's good to, learn about yourself and learn and let that be okay too. Like, you end up saying, like, me anyway, I find myself saying no to more plans, which is fine. And people are okay with that. You got to figure out, like, going out there and giving everyone your energy is amazing and it's worthwhile. And it's something, if you have the drive to do it and you can do it every day, you should, but getting home to recharge and take care of yourself so that next day you can show up and be that best person, that's super important. That's never to be understated.
I'm probably like most bummed with myself when I say okay to a plan that I don't really want to do.
I do that all the time.
I do it all the time too. I hate bumming people out or like saying no too often. So if I've said no to like a friend like 4 times in a row, good chance 5th time I'm going to say yes no matter what it is.
Right.
And I always regret it as soon as I step out the door. But how does you want your alone time interact with Shaylee?
It's not too bad. She's so cool, man. She understands me in different ways. Like a lot of times she'll be home because she'll work 3 days in a row, say, so she'll be nursing. And so she'll not nursing. She's a nurse.
Where
at? St. Peter's in Olympia.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Yeah. So she drives an hour in the morning, and she works like 13-hour shifts or something. So it's like, she drives an hour in the morning and works her long shift and then comes back and pretty much goes straight to bed.
Yeah.
So like when she comes home, I have like 15 minutes of we catch up, hear about her day. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah. She tells me about all these,
just kidding, Shaylee.
C diffs and all this gross stuff. But and then she'll go to bed. So I have like, even sneaking up there, it's kind of different working from home. Like, so on her day off though, so she'll be upstairs, like she'll just be like lounging or studying whatever she's studying, and there'll be some days where like I won't go upstairs for like 8 hours except for like to get a glass of water or something. But there is some days where every 2 hours I run up and I'm able to like give her a kiss or something and come back down here. So I get a lot of my alone time. I will say my mom is living with us right now. And that's like, it's wonderful, it's my mom and I'm glad that we're able to help her out. But I do notice it's funny. I'm so prissy. Like I'll go upstairs and I'll be like listening to something on my, like 3 hours into this chapter. And I'm just thinking I'm some genius monk on the mountains learning this fascinating thing. And then, my mom will just like want to talk to me upstairs and I'll just I won't say it and I'll of course talk to her, but I'm like, Mom, like, I'm learning about Buddhism. Like, I'm learning about this in-depth subject. Like, so she pulls me out, but, yeah, man, it's being introverted with Shaylee is great because she understands. It is nice having her like right upstairs. We can go and interact. But like I said, she doesn't like come down here fairly often, or she will from time to time. But for the most part, she understands that I like just having my own recharge space. We are getting fairly up here in time, my friend. I want to make sure that we cover, I want to make sure that people know that we'll learn a little bit about Roots and about your coaching. So if they need to learn a little bit more about Roots, can you give the shout out, like where to find you? And
I mean, you can follow me on Instagram, at Scott Pisapia. And that could lead you right to Roots. Roots is also at Roots_sports on Twitter and at Roots Sports on Instagram. And yeah, so we're going to be doing a bunch of basketball camps this spring and summer that I'm looking forward to. And pretty much anything basketball related in the Cowlitz County area, you should be coming to us.
Definitely. Agreed. Yeah. And then also podcasts.
Yeah.
Be coming from your corner of the world.
Yeah. I'm hoping to. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
And also, if you want to come check out a game in Portland, go to Lewis and Clark College women's basketball team.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, man, I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming by to, again, just exploring the wisdom that everybody has to teach and the different perspectives. That's what this podcast is about, mental health, because I believe that knowledge is power. I believe that just learning and having conversation and learning how people do things differently and in just hearing your side and hearing about like just amazing people who are just following what they think they should be doing and it's turning out well for them. And I'm grateful for you in our community, man.
Appreciate it, man. For Roots. Appreciate it big time. I love this community and I look forward to giving back for as many years as I'm alive.
Excellent. All right, man. Give me a fist bump.
Let's go.
Junkyard Love
Digornos.
podcast out. Eat those Digornos. Have a good rest of your day, everybody.
Yo.
It's your boy Scott.
Scott.